Hello, sir.
Hello, good evening. This is Pritish here. Can you see
Good
me?
evening, sir.
Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good, good. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, thank you. আমি একটা ক্লাস নিচ্ছি, হ্যাঁ, দেখো ঠিক আছে। আমি থেকে তুমি একটা আমার পাঠিয়েছি, লিংক দেখে নিতে পারো। বাই 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 বাই। হুম। Like I need to test that one, like whether I'm not very used to Dr. Jana. Let me tell you what is the way to share and all. You tell me.
So you can share the screen. You can share the presentation
Yeah,
using
yeah.
the
That
share
is.
screen.
I hear there is share there. I click there. Is it?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, I'm clicking here, and can you see my screen?
No, sir. So you can come to. Yes, sir. Now it is ready.
Sorry,
Yes, sir. It is showing, sir. The presentation is showing.
is it coming? Is it coming?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, good.
So can you
Is
further
it now?
full screen?
Is it now full screen? Is it possible? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Clear?
So can we just check there is no issue in changing slides?
Yeah, yeah. Let me see that. Yeah, yeah. It is coming. Is it
Okay. Okay.
coming? Okay, great, good.
Thank you. So we'll begin shortly, sir. At
Yes,
6
yes.
p.m.
6 o'clock. You said no. 5 minutes
Yes.
more to go.
Yes.
We'll go
Yes.
by that.
Good evening, everyone. We warmly welcome you all to the fifth day of our faculty development program on Green Horizon. Thank you, everyone, for your enthusiastic participation as we continue this academic journey together. Today, we will focus on industrial pathways to sustainability and cutting edge AI in renewable energy. Our first session, we are honored to welcome Mr. P.K. Sen, Mr. Pritish Kumar Sen, Mr. P.K. Sen is a seasoned management consultant and a prominent figure in the Indian industrial and academic landscape. Currently serving as a CEO of Steel Tech, he brings decades of leadership experience across manufacturing strategy, marketing, and institutional development. With a career spanning over 35 years at Tata Steel, where he began as a graduate trainee and rose through various critical positions, he has contributed significantly both in India and internationally. He superannuated from Tata Steel in October 2018, leaving behind a legacy of excellence across plant operations, market research, corporate strategy, and external affairs. He also played a key role in policy and industrial development. He headed Institute for Steel Development and Growth, a premier initiative by major steel producers and the Ministry of Steel to promote steel usage in India. His board level and advisory engagements reflect his continued influence in shaping industry and academia. He is a member of the Board of Governors of STEP, Science and Technology Entrepreneurs Park, and LTM, Lab to Market at IIT Kharagpur. He is the ex-chairman of IIM Calcutta and currently a member of Academic and Faculty Review Committee, AFRC, at IIM Head Office. Vice President of Millennium Institute of Environmental Engineering and Management, is also the ex-chairman of MSME and Manufacturing Committee of BCCI and presently on its management committee. He is affiliated with several professional organizations, including the Operations Research Society of India, the Indian Value Engineering Society, and others, demonstrating his commitment to continuous learning and contribution to knowledge domains. Outside his professional commitment, he is a sportsperson at heart, a music lover, and an advocate of disciplined life. He has also served honorably with the Kolkata Police, reflecting his commitment to civic duty. So we are honored to have with us Mr. P.K. Sen. Thank you, sir. We can begin with your presentation, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Suman for the kind introduction. And very good evening to you all, the people who are attending it. I initially thought when thank to Dr. Satyabrata Poddar also, when he initially mentioned me, I said, okay, some classes is to be taken or maybe a seminar, but I was not knowing that it will be FDP program and it will be 1.5 hours. And like I'll be talking to the teachers, maybe like from whom I am still learning. I feel that I am a learner. I remain as a learner till end. I do also learn from I find a lot of people who are having doctorate degrees and all. My daughter is also pursuing her PhD. I also tell her that I learned from you as well. Anyway, like when I'm invited, I'm thankful to you. And I thought that what do I tell to you who are so knowledgeable? But with my little knowledge, whatever in the industry, I thought that let me present something which is like maybe little interest to you. And let me tell you, over the 4 days, some of the sessions I missed, but some of my knowledge. There are excellent presentations, deliberations, and a lot of knowledge sharing. And I actually learned a lot. So therefore, with this little background, with my experience, let me mention about a few things about this one topic what has been given to me. Why is it not changing? Ah, so my topic you have given me towards carbon neutral industries leveraging renewable for sustainable growth. So the key point is carbon neutral industries, renewables, and sustainable growth. So what I thought was like what to tell. So initially I mentioned I thought of telling something about this only industry, but I then thought that as because that this topic is carbon neutral industries and renewable sustainable growth, let me cover something with regard to why this situation we are here in now. What you are talking about so much of carbon neutral industries, why it what is the stage we are in so that this comes to our stage, like why we are in this situation, a global warming and its effect, call for decarbonization and focus, renewable energy, safe and prosperous place to go, key strategies, industry's transition over the years. Here I thought that like as because I am from the steel industry, I spent 4 decades over here. So maybe something on steel I should cover. And steel, as you know, is 30 times more than the next mostly used metal is aluminum, and aluminum is 4 times more than next keen is copper. So therefore, steel, once you cover, you're covering many with regard to metal industry as such. And then if time permits, we can talk about the few, industry applications, what you have gone through and what are the actions people are taking, and a little bit effect what Steel Tech has done or something for this. I hope it is okay for the people. Dr. Jana, am I audible, clear, loud and clear? I guess I'm audible. Hello.
Yes,
Okay,
audible, sir.
I think you can you hear me? I'm audible.
Yes, sir. The
Ah,
voice is
good,
clear, sir.
very good. So as I mentioned, I'll be covering these presentation coverage. You know, so let's see like how this we are in this situation. If you see, this global warming is mostly the cause, for industries moving towards the carbon neutrality by harnessing renewable energy for sustainable growth. We find the energy is the heart of climate change, and it is key to the solution. Most of the greenhouse gases that are trapped heat in the Earth's atmosphere comes from burning fossil fuels to produce energy, mainly for electricity and heat. So that is the one what we do. And what we see now, the carbon content, CO2 content, if you see in the atmosphere, that is the key thing what we are worried about, and which is about 450 parts per million. It was which was around 100 parts per million around 200 years ago. It has gone up so around more than 3 to 3.5 to 4 times in the last 150 years. So effects are quite visible. It is observed that the night temperature are up by 7% since last 10 years here in Kolkata. I was in a conference where it was mentioned, they study this thing. They say that, in Kolkata, this night load has gone up tremendously high because one is like people are affording ACs, and the second thing is the temperature of night temperature has gone up by 7% in last 10 years. So it is the case everywhere else as well. Though the temperature are going up, but then the were higher than Earth earlier. It was not that this temperature in the Earth was not higher earlier. It was quite high. If you see, go back to a million year or more, maybe even 10 million years, Earth's temperature was much higher. There was no ice in the Greenland. Alligators were sunbathing on the Greenland itself. So biodiversity wasn't a problem at all. There were enough animals, enough flora and fauna on the earth that was significant hotter than what it is today. Only that there were no human beings that time because that was not environment that would be conducive to the human being. It was human being are not there, but the other animals, flora, fauna was there. The temperature was much higher. Then now with this 450 parts per million CO2, that is like the temperature we are say, today, they were going to limit ourselves to 1.5 degrees centigrade, increase in temperature limit by end of the century, which we know is the limit that is red line mark, which we should not cross to make this planet habitable to us human beings. So therefore, if the temperature goes up, what will happen? If you ponder what will happen, the earth will remain. I'll show you a graph here. You see the way this CO2 emission is there and different, region wise, including India. So this is the way it is going up. What was there here given from 1750 onwards, so pre-industrial period is hardly anything. Now it has gone up to this level. So the earth will remain. Animals will die. Some animals maybe, some will remain, but there will be biodiversity conducive to that environment. And if you continue to produce CO2 at the rate which you produce now today, our grandchildren will not remain. We may survive in our lifetime, but our children may be there, but grandchildren is difficult. So therefore, impetus which we often say that we save the world by reducing CO2, and who are we to say that we save the earth? It it adjusts itself. Only thing is the earth will remain, flora fauna will remain, we will not remain. We means human being will not remain. So the sustainability is the issue about us. It is not about the earth. For the human civilization to remain on earth, we must take steps to make it sustainable for human beings. So we have to reduce many things, and one of the critical elements of that is CO2 or CO2 equivalent, could be methane as well. Here you will see that what are the effects. We see that there is an urgent need to change the approach towards the decarbonization, which is very important because global warming is well underway. The current increase, the global average temperature above the pre-industrial level was already 1.2 degrees centigrade. Our limit is 1.5. So warning is there. It is expected by 2100, the temperature will be 2.7 degree higher than what we are thinking today, pre-industrial area. So therefore, there is a significant risk for human life. 800 million people are risk for rising the sea level. Even some place I read that even Kolkata may be underwater after many hundred years, but Kolkata is also naturally near the sea area, it will be even earlier. So about 1.7 billion people maybe experience severe heat waves. Investors are asking companies to Paris align, that I'll cover, because investors who are spending money for industries, they say that we have to the Paris aligned. That means that 17 SDG what you have taken, that will cover a bit shortly. That will cover. We can see that one. And the rating agencies are evaluating transition plans, and finance cost would increase. Clients are asking targets for net zero steel. If you go to some of the sensitive industries like automobile and all, they say that what steel are you supplying? I'm giving an example of steel. Similarly, it may be there in other industries as well. Are they carbon neutral? Biodiversity loss is due to climate change, which has a bearing on more than 60% of the world economy. So high economic cost is expected in the world GDP by 200 by 25%. Here I have listed some of the things, the climate change and due to global warming and its effect, we find the increase in the flooding due to erosion of soil and lack of trees. We can see here in India itself how the things are changing. Even now you see many places in the hills, we find this is quite relevant. A lot of people, some villages must have gone. There is a rising of sea level that I covered due to the melting of the glaciers causing a global warming, disruption of the food chain when the apex predators become the extinct, water shortage. They say that earlier people used to go for the oil and petroleum gas, the people will maybe fight for the water because sweet water, potable water is very, drinking water, fresh water is very limited. As you know, within 3% of this total ground which is available. If the rising temperature may be too much for the all living beings, there may be the shortage because lands will barren, the loss of biodiversity, and the cyclones and become the stronger and frequent, which is already we are facing with this 1.2 degree centigrade up. We are facing that, and here in typically in the graphical forms, I borrowed it from the bending of the course by Equirator. So if you see the way we are going in the prehistorical era by 2010, it is biodiversity is very high, and the way if we continue to go, we may come to this stage where the gradually things will be very blink. And if you take increased conservation efforts, more sustainable production, more sustainable consumption, then it may come, it may be little less, and after 250 to 70, it may further go up to the place we are gradually going. And there may be another thought, like increased conservation efforts will give to the middle path like this. So this is just to give a typical, way the things may look like. So then let's come to the carbon decarbonization focus. Why people are thinking about this to reduce CO2? Why the people are focusing it? And it got very sensitized. 17 SDG we talk about, sustainable development growth, is the most important aspect of today's creating this awareness on a very important aspect of this. Only for our industry, but also for the survival. It is not only required for the industry, but survival for sustainable practices has to be there. The world has become more sensitized over the issues after two watershed events. Those two events actually altered the sustainability landscape. That UN, United Nations 70s SDGs, this is the one which is 17 SDG, what you mentioned here, the Sustainable Development Goals in September 2015, and again in the Paris Agreement in December 2015, and which come to force from 4th of November 2016. And we all, as you all know, the Paris Agreement is legally binding international treaty on climate change. And India is also signatory to this agreement, and it is legally binding on our part to take necessary steps to reach the global peaking of the GHG emission as soon as possible. The goal is to limit global warming to well below 2 degree, preferably 1.5 degree Celsius compared to the pre-industrial era. These lead to the three-legged or triple bottom development of three P's, what you call people, planet, and profit. So this is the 17. I think most of the people, some professor covered this one I saw 2 days back. So I'm not going to in details about it. Actually, what it says, you have to end poverty. One side, the way you cannot, develop one part of the world very high and other parts remain poor, you cannot do that. We have to reduce poverty, zero hunger, the good health and well-being, quality education, gender equality, clean water, then affordable and clean energy. These are very, very important. Decent work and economic growth, industrial innovations, reduce inequalities, which I just mentioned, sustainable and communications, responsible consumption and production. Climate action has to be very poor, life below the water. We say that, okay, we are fine here on the earth, we cannot take water, we do not know what is happening in the water, but that also not do. We have to have the clean water. The life on the land, people justice, and strong institutions and partnership for the goals. It has to be there. The people who are able to afford, they should also give a loan and do it. Here, very important other thing I must say, when the 17 SDG we talk about, they recognize, I just go up little bit, they recognize that the ending of poverty must go hand in hand with strategies that build economic growth and address the ranges of social needs, including education, health, social protection, and job opportunities while tackling climate change and the environmental protection. Of these 17 goals, 13 goals are very urgent action to be taken. I covered some of them but all these goals influence the climate change and the vice versa. So we'll make this little progress on the climate action without accelerating the achievement of the goal 7 on affordable and clean energy. For instance, goal 12 on the responsible consumption and production of climate solutions can support the goals such as through the just transition to a renewable energy centered on providing the decent work and focus on the goal 8, developing the decent. So there are further reports on that. You can also see that. But after that, let me cover that IPCC. This is the intergovernmental panel on climate change. They uses 5 shared socio-economic pathways, that is popularly known as SSP, to describe the alternate future societal development and their associated climate challenges. They are SSP1 that looks for sustainability. That is SSP1. You see that the position we are today, if you take action SSP1, the way it will go by 2100. Then SSP2, the middle of the road, SSP2. Then we have regional rivalry, the SSP3. Then we have SSP4 and SSP5. SSP5 is a very, optimistic way you can say. That is the 5 scenarios that SSP1 all mentioned about sustainability, a future focused on global sustainability with efforts towards environmental protection, reduced inequalities, and more sustainable consumption. That is SSP1. If you can see my pointer here, and the middle of the road is a scenario that continues to current global development trajectories characterized by the moderate economic growth and some global cooperations and moderate population growth, SSP2. And SSP3, the regional library, the rivalry will be there, that you see that SSP3, this is a fragmented world with rising nationalism and regional conflicts, leading to reduced global cooperation and declining investment in technological advancement. The way they are going, they go this the way. And the SSP4, a world with high disparities between wealthy and poor regions. That's the reason 17 SDG are very important, that the disparity we want to reduce there. So that is the reason people thoughtfully, they have gone ahead with and given the 17 SDG. But if you go in the SSP4 way, inequality, a world will have higher disparity between wealthy and poor regions, where some regions focus on technology, climate actions, while others struggle with the significant challenges. And SSP5, the way we are going, the fossil fuel, it is called a fossil fuel development, a future driven by rapid economic growth and high energy demand. The way we are going, okay, let us generate electricity through thermal based. Let us have, don't bother for climate change, have the development, make the power available anyway. And when I have the time, if you have the time, we'll cover that the way the industry grew. What is the action? What was the idea behind it? That time the parts will be more clear. So it is a rapid economic growth and high energy demand, heavily reliant on the fossil fuel and resource intensive lifestyles with little focus on climate change and mitigation. This is very, very important. So therefore, they have given that IPCC, they have given the 5 paths that which one to follow. And if the way you are going, that the things will be very, very difficult. So that is the one they are going to try to say, the sensitize the people. So let's now talk about, this is the IPCC different goal I just mentioned. This is the SP1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is the, again, socioeconomic challenges for adoption. If I take the parameters on the right x-axis and y-axis, if I take the socioeconomic challenges for mitigation, This is adoption and mitigation. This is the way we see that how the SSP are placed. SSP 1, it takes the less, whereby challenges for adoption will be better, and socioeconomic mitigation is much better. So therefore, we'll come to SSP 1. But if we have social economic adoption is there, but mitigation is not there, then we go to step 5, but we are making it more worse in step 5. And this is the middle part. And 3 and 4, actually that adoption is higher, but mitigation is not that high in this side. So you can also refer to this, what I mentioned, IPCC reports I'm giving the ARC 2021, these reports. You can refer to these reports even your leisure time. So what is the net neutrality by mid? Why this net neutrality required by mid of the century? Because if you don't do, the climate risk is very high. This physical risk to human life and business is irrefutable. No doubt that we have to, it will certainly come. Then partly I talked about investors and finance. The people now very sensitized. It has happened already in Europe when it's to go, the thermal power station, they are not giving any finance. If it is thermal power station, since more than a decade or so, they are very sensitized. They will not give you loan. If you are generating power through, thermal power, they will not give. So similarly, it will come to all these investors like steel, cement, all companies will come. If your investors are looking for the portfolios companies to be Paris aligned. Paris aligned means this 2015 thing what I mentioned about, that is COP21 actually, this sustainable linked bond will be available. Reputation and ESG rating is very important. Therefore, the people are talking about ESG rating. The companies, those who are having the rating good, they will get the finance. That means when you go to take a loan, the people having the good score, they get a loan at the cheaper price and than the one who do not have a good rate or the new people. So therefore, reputation and risk is very high. The rating will be important. I'll cover a part of this ESG rating later. The clients also will ask the supplier engagement, preferred supplier, the people who are doing, actually producing their, metal, who are eco-friendly, net zero, they will be preferred. And there will be compliance, future regulation, legislation, and public court cases will be much higher. So that is the reason we want the neutrality by mid of the century. And that ESG I mentioned, that is environmental, social, and governance. These are the coverage of the environment, this is the coverage of social, and this is the coverage of governance. In the environment, if I greenhouse gas emission, GHG, that we are very sensitized to it. Carbon abatement and offsetting. There are industries which are very difficult to abate industries. The steel is one of them, and also the cement. And water management and pollution is very, very important, because the earlier that amount of water required per ton of steel is now much less than what it is required, and there is zero discharge. Earlier, people used to have the liberty to discharge to maybe to some places outside your plant. Now it is not possible. You have to see that you reuse the water, settle it and reuse it. It is not only in industry. These are the coming even the households also. There are some places here, we are fortunate to have more water here in Kolkata. But if you go to Chennai and all, if the water harvesting is not there, then they will not give you the water supply. So it is so much of import. Materials and waste management. It is waste management, like nothing is waste. That is byproduct of this year one that has to be. There has to be circular economy. Their air quality, that which is, people say that how much ppm it is there, so it is very sensitive. People are suffering from cough, cold, and the lungs problem. So that is because of the quality, air quality. The energy consumption and management, energy efficiency in operation. So we cannot say that we have a less efficient just because the motor is running a lot of noise and all, but it is inefficient, but we still run it. It will not be possible. Under the social, we see that health and safety. We see the labor management, security, safety and security is very, very important. Community relations, responsible for value chain, that is supplier screening and due diligence, talent retention and customer satisfaction. This comes under social. The governance, we talked about corporate governance. That will say ESG rating. I mentioned there will be there are ratings. I'll just cover in nutshell about that. Then business ethics and transparencies. privacy and data security, political and accountability. We cannot, or political cannot say we just do whatever we do like. When the things will come into effect, politics and political accountability also will be very much there. Innovation is the key, innovation and prosperity, and responsible and advocacy. So these are the ESG topics which will be covered. And this the risk management. I thought that briefly I'll give you what are the economic, environmental, geographical, social, and technological. In 2 years' time, what are the things which will be 10 things which will be more important thing, and in another 10 years, what is the next 10 things will be important, and what are the benefits of ESG reporting. But the benefits, there are two types of benefits, both one is internal and external. External side, it is preserving public trust. The people who are having a good ESG score, they take the trust of this, people. Earlier, like once used to produce a lot of, suppose say, steel during after World War II, there's a requirement of steel, the people used to clap. Yes, very good company. There, your production is being increased, from time to time you're growing more than 5%, 10%, whatever. So people used to club. Now the people are no more, like interested. They say that how are you producing? Is it carbon neutral, or are you polluting the industry, or are polluting the water, or polluting the air? So this public trust is very important. Repeating the financial benefits that I just mentioned, like you will not get loans if your ESG scores are low. So they're retaining the investors, the people who are there today. You may find, okay, they are there since last 50 years or so, they will be there forever. It is not so. An improved score of ESG parameters is important, social license to operate, and internal also. We find the enhanced internal awareness and sustainability. People get sensitized, the people, the companies who are the good score in ESG, they are more responsible people on towards sustainability. It is reliable, complete, consistent, and comparable information, better decision making on the smart targets, that is that covers continuous improvement in system, process, and internal controls around the sustainability. Sorry, my God, what's coming? Why it is? Thank you. Jumped. Yeah. So I was talking. Can you see the screen, Dr. Jana? Is my screen visible?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah, good. So these are the one who are ESG reporting, that is the agencies will go for ESG reporting. So they give this. So I just gave very briefly about this, what reporting are there. There will be further things will be there. And then let me give that net zero emission, what is the target? The different countries, as I mentioned, even India also is the signatories. Let me just bigger the screen. So you might have seen this. This is from, as you know, that Bhutan, Suriname, and Panama, they are already achieved that net zero, the GHG emission. And now these other people are giving their, when the Norway, for example, Norway is looking to go by GHG in 2030, they will become Finland by 2035. So on and forward. By 2040, we find Australia, Iceland, and 45 Sweden and Germany. And these are the different companies. And India, if you see, there are the other companies you can see it, including like Japan, Fiji, major countries, France, Hungary, Marshall Island, Portugal, Spain, and India is here in 27. Yeah, India is here 2070. This is the Prime Minister Narendra Modi. If you recall, he was a signatory to this. By this time, 21st of the century, half of it, the China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Singapore, and India. And these are the companies which says, in addition, I just mentioned because I'm from steel industry, also put down the which steel industries they mentioned they will become, like there are even more, few are there mentioned here, like SSAB, Tata Steel, they signed that they will become carbon neutral by 2045. Then, China, Bao Steel, all these things are there. and the different companies like BlueScope, Australia, ArcelorMittal Group, Hyundai, US Steel, Algoma, and all these companies are there. They say they promise to become, carbon neutral by. And let me tell you, like even suppose you declare, like I'll become, say, carbon neutral by 2045. It is not that like you'll start working on it 2030 or something. You have to start working right from now. They have already started working. Actually, like say, suppose say the MD, current MD Narendra, Mr. Narendra, he signed or chairman signed. So by 2040, 45 also that gentleman will not be there because these are companies, they're limited companies. But that commitment has to be taken by different. So that means what I mean is there's a multi-generation commitment and you have to honor this. So also in case of countries, once you sign that you have to honor this. Let's say it's the international protocol. And if you see the additional countries, if you say timeline of this thing, additional countries and regions have proposed to adopt net zero targets, including Ireland, Netherlands, Spain, and some of such as Chile, are also far along in this policy making process. Bhutan, as I mentioned already, they say that they will maintain the neutrality. For the countries, we assume complete coverage of GHG since no exclusion have been noted explicitly and means target achievement include all sectors. Some countries, some major countries are mentioned here as the more than 110 countries have committed to the carbon neutrality by 2050. Naturally, in this graph, we could not cover all these countries. 100 countries have already signed. So now, having said that, let's see what is that renewable energy sources all around us. This is very safe and this is very prosperous as well. So if you see that uh, so energy, as I mentioned, and energy is the heart of the climate change and the key to the solution. And most of the greenhouse gases that trap heat in the Earth's atmosphere comes from the burning of fossil fuel to produce an energy, mainly electricity and heat. Electricity then used for different running the machineries and all. And if you see that there are five reasons, major reasons, you know, accelerating the transition to clean energy is the pathway to healthy, livable planet today and for generation to come. So these things are important. These five reasons are important. So I just listed out. That is, renewable energy sources are all around us. It is not that it is not available. We have to tap it. Renewable energy is cheaper. Renewable energy is healthier. Renewable energy create jobs. Renewable energy makes economic sense. And I'll just very briefly explain each of them. Number one, if you see the renewable energy sources are all around us, approximately 80% of the global population resides in the countries that are net importers of fossil fuel. Like for India is also, we import a lot of uh, oil and all on the gases as well. That's about 6 billion people who are dependent on the fossil fuels from other countries, making them vulnerable to geopolitical shocks and crises. And now during the war, it goes up, sometimes it's come down, so on and so forth. In contrast, renewable energy sources are available in all countries and their potential is yet to be fully harnessed. That means now people are sensitized with the solar. Earlier, we were a hot country, but we are not that much solar. Now people are putting the solar rooftops. The International Renewable Energy, that is IRENA, estimates that 90% of the world's electricity can and should be come from the renewable energy by 2050. That is what we are also aiming. The renewables offer a way out of import dependency, allowing countries to diversify their economies and protect them from the unpredictable price swings of fossil fuels while driving inclusive economic growth, new jobs, and poverty alleviation. That is in brief about renewable energy sources all around us. We need to tap this. And the renewable energy is cheaper as well because the renewable energy is most affordable source of power in most parts of the world. Prices for renewable energy technologies are dropping rapidly. Earlier was the solar photovoltaic cell, the cost which was there, now it has come down drastically. Over 90% of new renewable energy projects are now cheaper than the fossil fuels in many of the cases or alternatives. At the same time, solar and offshore wind are now respectively 41% and 53% cheaper than the fossil fuel. There is some study which is done internationally. So this is the outcome of this. Declining prices are making renewable energy more attractive worldwide, including the low and middle income countries, where most of the future demand for new electricity will rise. This create a real opportunity for much of the new power supply over the coming years to come from low carbon sources. And by 2040, for instance, Africa could generate 10 times more electricity than it needs entirely from renewable sources. This is just an example they're given. Renewable energy can also help meet new electricity demand, particularly for artificial intelligence is also very important. And the data centers, a typical AI data center eats up as much electricity as 100,000 homes. And every major technical firm should switch to 100% renewables to power data centers by 2030. It is expected. Cheap electricity from renewable sources could provide 65% of the world total electricity supply by 2030. It could be decarbonize 90% of the power sector by 2050, massively cutting carbon emission and helping to mitigate climate change. Then renewable energy, if you cover this is healthier. Point number 3, according to World Health Organization, about 99% of the people in the world breathe air that exceeds the air quality. I just mentioned that when you feel heavy, the lungs problem. So that will, they say that the World Health Organization also did the study. That is the one they're opined to this one. They say that 99% of the people in the world, they breathe that exceeds the air quality limits, and that threatens their health. Air pollution is associated with 7 million premature deaths every year. The unhealthy levels of fine particles, matter, and nitrogen dioxides originate mainly from burning fossil fuel. The economic health damage caused by the air pollution amounts to 8.1 trillion dollar per year, equivalent to 6.1% of the global GDP. Switching to clean sources of energy such as wind and solar helps address not only climate change but also air pollution and health. So this covers the renewable energy is healthier. We have covered renewable energy, which is all around us. It is available. We have to tap it. Renewable energy is cheaper now that it is compared to fossil fuel, power generation. This is when the photovoltaic cells are getting cheaper. They're cheaper. It is also healthier as well. And the renewable energy create jobs. If you see the clean energy sector, jobs already outnumber the fossil fuel job. There was a study done by the UN, and it employs around 35 million people worldwide. In 2023 itself, 16.2 million people were engaged in the renewable energy sector, up from 13.7 in 2022. That means in 1 year itself, it has gone up by more than 10%. For every dollar invested, renewable energy creates 3 times more jobs and than the fossil fuel industry. The IEA estimates that the transition towards net zero emission will lead to overall increase of energy sector jobs, while about 5 million jobs of fossil fuel production could be lost by 2030, and estimated of 14. That means almost 3 times, 14 million new jobs could be created by clean energy, resulting a new gain of 9 million jobs. In addition to energy-related industries, we'll need 16 million more workers, for instance, to take new jobs for manufacturing electric vehicles, hyper-efficient appliances, innovative technologies such as hydrogen economy. This means that a total of more than 30 million jobs could be created in clean energy efficiency and low emission technology by 2030, ensuring a just transition, placing the needs and the rights of the people at the heart of the energy transition will paramount to make sure no one is left behind. Okay, so that means like initially when the computation came here in Kolkata itself, people objected. Now you cannot see a life without a computer. But now it's a reality that we have dependent on this. So similarly, you will feel that you have a feeling that okay, you may lose jobs when the thermal power is not really so. The renewable makes economic sense. In 2024, it's a $2 trillion went into the clean energy and 800 billion more than the fossil fuel, up from almost 70% in 10 years. In 2023 alone, clean energy sectors drove 10% of the global GDP growth. Furthermore, the energy-related carbon dioxide emissions are going more slowly than the global economy. Emissions growth slowed by 0.8% in 2024, while the global economy expanded by more than 3%. Yet, the fossil fuel industry continues to be heavily subsidized. About 7 trillion was spent on fossil fuels in 2022, including through explicit subsidies, tax breaks, and health and environment damages that are not priced in the cost of the total fossil fuels. So there are even these companies are there. So many more things are there. The study here, I'll just with this one I'll end because we have spent around 10 minutes on that itself. I'll also say the quote of this thing about that United Nations Secretary General Antonio, almost he says almost every nation has enough sun, wind, or water to become energy self-sufficient. We need to harness it. Okay. So having said this, I'll go to the next stage of my presentation of the key strategy leveraging renewables. It's a very the topic given to me as carbon neutral industry leveraging renewable for sustainable goals is a very powerful theme, So therefore, if you see that key strategies around leveraging strategies for renewable, if you can count them one by one very briefly, the renewable integration, energy integration, what we just also focused on, like solar, wind, hydro, and biogas, are being scaled up to replace the fossil fuel in industrial processes. For example, like though very little, but in steel industry, blast furnaces, in hot metal making, biochar also being used. In addition to others, we'll cover briefly on the hydrogen as a reductant. And so also this biogas and biochar, biomass, these are the things also they are putting restriction to thermal companies like India government of policies are there to use minimum of 5%, then they may further increase. If you see this in ethanol, they are asking people to add with the petroleum products, so on and so forth. So India, for example, achieved 209 gigawatts of renewable capacity and is targeting to make 500 gigawatts. As per that events SDG, we are to be less than 100 gigawatt, but we have already achieved 209. So we are going in a good place. So if you see the green hydrogen adoption, so green hydrogen adoption as hydrogen is taken as a very fuel which is like clean. As you know that like in hot metal, the people who are used to the steel making hot metal, we have to reduce the iron to make hot metal, that either hematite or magnetite. So this one we have to oxygen has to taken out, and the reducing agent is carbon there, coal. So therefore, when you reduce it then from the H2 from the C1, so carbon dioxide is formed. So therefore, that hydrogen, if you do that instead of CO2, it will become H2O. But it is easier said than done. But it is efforts are being done. So green hydrogen produced using renewable electricity. Suppose electrolysis, if you do this hydrogen from H2O to H2 and O, but if you are using electricity which is generated thermal, then you're back to square one. So therefore, like it has to be through renewable electricity. That means through wind or through solar or to hydro. So emerging as clean one. India also launched a national green hydrogen mission to become global. I'll just show what is the way that frame of India, national green hydrogen policy that different places in different states. They're going ahead, and government is also supporting this. The turning point, you can say, of the India is emerging as a green hydrogen as a national imperative with a target of 5 million ton per annum by 2030. Under the National Green Hydrogen Mission, the country aims to decarbonize the core industries, reduce import dependence, and also establish itself as a global hub for hydrogen production and export. This initiative is backed by the strong policy and the financial commitment of our more than 17,000 crore allocated the capacity and creation and the R&D incentives. The technology remains central to cost and social and scalability. India's adoption to electrolyzer technologies, alkaline PEM, AEM, and emerging innovations like SOEC, PEC reflect the strategy of balancing cost efficiency with operational flexibility. However, the challenge persists around the capital cost, rare earth dependency, and intermittent renewables, which currently place India's green hydrogen production cost around $6 per kg at a significant premium to gray and blue hydrogen. You can see the total report to the LinkedIn project that which I have given below. And so also the case, the global market, it is going up. Compound annual rate of growth is more than 40% actually. From we meager $2.46 billion industry, it will become expected to become around 17 billion by 2029 and little more around 18 or 20 during 2030. Just to give you this in a perspective, I said so this graph, you can see the complete report. Another important thing is electrification of the industrial process. That is important because the electrifying the machinery and heating system using clean electricity reduces the direct emission. Instead of burning fossil fuel, if you use the electricity which is generated through renewable energy like wind, hydro, solar, then run the machineries to electrical machineries, then it reduces the emission. Sectors like chemical, cement are exploring the electric alternatives to fossil fuel waste, and so also in steel as well, which I briefly mentioned. If time permits, we'll cover that. That another thing is like very important. Suppose some of the industries which you cannot do without. Suppose that say I'll again give an example of our steel industries. Say it's a very capital intensive industries. For producing 1 million ton, you have to invest around 5,000 to 6,000 crore. Suppose you have already invested in blast furnaces, you just cannot say that I'll not further use it because capex is very costly here in India. So if you are using, suppose, then you can use the carbon capture and neutralize. CCUS is also important. So CCUS technology help capture the reduce the emission from hard to abate industries like oil and gas, cement, and also maybe steel. In Tata Steel, first time they did in Jamshedpur plant, they're putting a 5 million ton metric ton per day CCUS that is already put and tested. It is working fine in Jamshedpur. As because it was my previous company, I know this well. So these emissions can be stored underground or to reused in the industrial application. So like that application, of course, it is difficult because it's not easier said than done. That it has to go to the oil field or to producing something which is demand should be there. So here I have given it below that some of these sectors, what is the emission share and what is the key action being taken. If you see, the emission share is very high. 7% of the total emission is from the steel industry. And what to do is a hydrogen-based production. That means instead of reducing, just an example, reducing iron ore to coal, or that is coke is used after getting converting to coal. So if hydrogen is possible to, hydrogen 100% is not possible because you have to have the permeability in a blast furnace, and also like you have to need power which it comes again from the burning of the fuel. But therefore that action point is like you have to do the hydrogen based production. If the blast furnace that not, but DRI, direct reduced iron, it is possible to do through hydrogen, where after that DRI is produced, we can go through electric arc furnace and produce steel. The cement emission is very high. CCUS and alternative fuels are also suggested to have the key action points to reduce that industry's pollution. Chemicals, that emission, though moderate, electrification and process redesign is important to see this, like this, the emission goes down. Automobiles are growing. EV, as you know, that there are policies which people are making for the EVs. So this is the briefly about this year one, and the global policies and driver. The policies to be important. The government also has to come in a way. Carbon border adjustment mechanism, CBAM in Europe, you must have seen that CBAM they are giving, there has to be audit. By 2026, they are going to put, although in many cases, India don't agree for this, many cases. But yes, they are going to come. So there have to be CBAM, carbon border adjust mechanism. Circular economy principle also come, like the green industrial policies being promoted by organization like UNIDO to ensure long-term sustainability. That's 17 SDG that we have just spoke. The road ahead is to transition from carbon neutral industries, what is also theme of this topic, what is given to me. And isn't just an environmental imperative, but it's an economic opportunity that we saw that how the job creation, around 15 million jobs which are going to be created in the renewable energy and the green technical sector too, the improved competitiveness in global industry and resilience against the future climate regulations. There has to be there. With this, I think I'll now go to industry transition. I think we have time still something to go for. I'll just cover a few examples towards sustainability. And here I'll cover that what is, this steel industry over the last 100 years, maybe that is the one which you're going to. So as I mentioned, the steel is used for 30 times more than the next most used metal is aluminum, which is around 70 million ton. And so aluminum is 4 times more than copper. So therefore, if you cover the steel, most of the thing it is getting covered at the metal industry. But however, the actions are different places. They are also sensitized to it. I've just given here last more than 100 years. What is that, steel production and consumption and use? In 1900, we are producing the world, we means like not India, the world was producing around 28 million ton, and which has gone to more than 2023, it is 1900, now it is more than 1900 by 2025. I've given 23 and it is more beyond, it is coming up. From mere 28 million ton, it is going to almost 1.9 billion ton by 2025. So therefore, how it crossed, if you see that this production was not very high during this period, during World War II, which was fought like in a small places, the people did not really, okay, fine. But when the World War II took place, then the people thought like, okay, you have to develop the infrastructure, ammunitions and all, ammunitions and all. So therefore, like, it grew very rapidly, from 45 to 74. 74 I've given here because there is a oil shock here took place. So it was, CRG more than 6.75% CRG till the oil shock in 1974. And earlier from 19 to 1945, it was just compound rate of growth was just 3.24%. The low base. Base was low, 28. And here base is already you have achieved the 154. In that high base also, the CRG compound annual rate of growth is 6.75 compared to the only 3.24 is the low base. After oil shock, producers start to put on pressure on energy conservation, and it is not only steel production and consumption through grown, but a lower rate of growth is seen from 1974 to 2003. There is a 74 to 2003. If you see that growth rate is very low, it's a flattened year one. Thereafter, this technology grew, of course. It took almost 1 century to cross 1,000 million ton from say 1900 to 1900. So 1,000 million in 204, 2004. If you see, it was 2004. It is 2000 also 850 from near 200 to 2000 more than. But thereafter it went off very fast, because of the reason that China the growth. But it crosses 1,000 million in just 20 years. It crosses like another 1,000 million ton. So major contributor to this, of course, is China. They almost do the half of this total consumption. China is a major contributor. China crossed 100 million ton in 1993, but it took almost next 100 years, it took just 9 years. Although in 93, from mere 4 or 5, during independence, we are producing slightly more than China, but they are producing now more than 900 million ton. They progress very fast. And China took just 30 years to reach from 100 million to almost a billion per year. So the per capita consumption has reached more than 233 kg for the world average. Compared to India is around nearly about 100 kg. China is more than 600 and more than 1000 kg in South Korea and so other places and so on and so forth. Developed countries, they've grown very fast. Then whereas India is 31, steel consumption ratio in India is very low. Around therefore this propensity of India consumption is much higher. So here I am giving you this the way the things will are growing. This is the total growth rate from different period that I have given. So if you see that a very small growth rate and it has gone up to 6.5, again it is reduced, then it is going in a very high space. And similarly, you can see this different industries. So here I'll give you a typical, this industry. What is the ISP1 integrated steel plant, ISP processes? So you must have heard about this coal. Coal is used in the steel industry. The coal we don't use directly. We use through coke. Coke ovens we produce from coal. We make coke. Then we have agglomerates like pellets, sinter. The iron ore spines and all they are formed pellets or the sinter, and they are used in the blast furnace. Of course, um, solid ore is also used by breaking down, that is the iron ore. Then agglomerates like pellets, sinters, they are used. And from the blast furnace, we produce hot metal. From the hot metals, it's a reduction process. And then we go through steel making, maybe through BOF, basic oxygen furnace, or electric furnace. Here it is given a process for BOF. And then after that, the steel is made, we cast it to different products like billet, bloom. Here it is billet is shown. And that is hot rolled. In this case, wear rods are produced, then it is cold drawn wear rods are given. It is just a process. Similarly, we have slabs, and after the slabs, are hot rolled, and then we go for cold roll. And these are the now this technology which has come, which is actually reducing this place drastically. Instead of hot roll, cold roll, hot roll, and this slab, the direct casting is there, and they also ESP castings that we have covered in some of the cases. And if you see this emission, they are stage wise. And this is the one which are given below CO2 emission intensity and distribution over the processes. Coke ovens produce something around 4% towards emission. If the steel industry have the emission of 2.5 ton per crude steel, to 4% comes in coke ovens, because many things are trapped there in coke ovens. We don't let it go because that coke ovens gas is also used for heating and also extraction of the special materials. Agglomerate is produces around 7%. Blast furnace is the major. They are around 70% of the total one is the sale. If you see in the ISP, it is from the blast furnace. So if you tackle the blast furnace well, then you are reducing actually this side. Then steel making BOF side, if it is basic oxygen furnace, it produces 13%. But in electric furnace, it is less. Hot rolling side is around 3%, scaling under the thing, cold rolling 1%, other miscellaneous. So it comes to around 100% this side. It's just to give you a simile of this thing, typical ISP process and its, emission. So this is the process where we can have that, as I mentioned, the blast furnace, where BOF, that is basic oxygen furnace, this is the major route. CO2 emission in this process is called gray route. That means you are having the pellet plant or a sinter plant. These are conglomerates, coke ovens, blast furnace. Then you produce hot metal and produce steel. It gray route produces around 2.5 tons per ton of crude steel. It is CO2 emissions there. But if you go through a green route, that means your pellet, power generation, electrolysis, if you go, then green power, if through solar or something, have a green power. And then you finally going to other processes which are here, then you go for DRI, hydrogen, you produce hydrogen, then you go for DRI, reduction, direct reduced iron. And with the use of scrap, you use this electric furnace. The scrap, you take it from the used vehicles or then you think, then you use a green route. So around it is 0.1 ton per ton of crude steel. So the drastical decision. Here I presented in that CSE conference. So that is the slide what you are getting is. But it is not very easy to do. There are key challenges also to decarbonization, because the challenges, if you see, that asset, technology, infrastructure, regulation, and customer. I think I covered briefly with regard to assets. As I mentioned, it's a very capital intensive unit. So produce a million ton, we spend around 6,000 to 6,500 or that crore per million ton, depending on the which route you follow and which is a if it is a green project or it is a expansion. So it may vary from site to which type of steel you are going to do. So capital incentive assets having long useful life issue is a standard assets, like as I mentioned about the blast furnace, just one. And the technology, which is net zero technology, still under development and uncertain economic viability. In the sense, the people are trying their best to do, but it is not that technology is already available in the shelf and you go and use it. People are evolving. Technology is improving, efficiency is increasing, that is fine. And the infrastructure development required the facilities to facilitate the technology. Varying regulations across the graphics, like say emission trading schemes, carbon tax, etc., will be very important. So government intervention and policies are required. The customers' willingness to pay, for example, like if you use hydrogen or if you use the cost of steel, that goes up by almost $200 per ton. So therefore, the customer for this steel user, they must be ready to pay it. It is not only just, I want cheaper, but I want the best, always not possible. Maybe when the, oxygen, hydrogen availability will be much cheaper, that is the time it will come. The people are, earlier we are using open arc furnaces in steel making. Now we are using mostly BOF here because the availability of oxygen was much at a cheaper rate. It was possible, so people started using the technology. I also hope maybe, which is now it is around 10 $12 per kg of hydrogen, it may come down to below 6 or maybe even below. So if it is come down below 4, it may be even more easily comparable. The way we have the comparison of thermal generation with the electric solar generation, it may come in the future. So if you see, this is a transition of like current present stage to that one which is future. If you see that current stage, what you are doing is we are focusing on energy efficiency. We are focusing the process improvement. You cannot afford to have a machine which has got like suppose the 93% efficiency. You cannot run it below that because it will be difficult. So all efforts are done to see that to improve the process improvements, raw material qualities, what raw material, so that it's less. Then it is a higher craft because like electric arc furnace, instead of using virgin ore, you use electric scrap. But scrap availability wherever that is more in Europe and other places, they are doing it. In India, still the scrap availability is not that high. So we have to depend on that. Even if you are having it, it may take few years. Say say that one automobile, now the vehicle scrapping policy has already come, getting implemented gradually. So once the lifetime is gone, instead of wasting the steel as it is recyclable. So you can use the electric arc furnace to again reuse the steel scrap, that is called. And the renewable energy, wherever it is cheaper, then this is a use of biochar. I mentioned about the one which is in blast furnaces. They are going to have carbon storage is already taken place in Tata Steel Jamshedpur in a small way. That is coke oven gas used, that top gas generation, natural gas, hydrogen in blast furnace, and green hydrogen is the most sought after. So there's a lot of ways to go. That technology is getting developed. People are spending on R&D. There are different technology producers we are giving it. So this is the greenhouse. I have a chart who are all doing what, that I'll show you in a little while. So this is that like to give this green transition of the steel industry from the present level to the future. So that is the way we may go from, as I mentioned, from gray route to, from gray route to almost green route. So this is the transition which will take place, but these are the key challenges there. So having said that, let us see that, many places who are all doing this. These are the map in Europe, if you see, because their energy is cheaper, renewable energy is available. So that is, these are the people who are in Europe, they have given this. These are the few companies have given. Because in Tata Steel, Imodium plant also they're doing by 2030, they'll have 2 million ton by 2 million ton capacity of steel, liquid steel. They'll be going through this mm, net zero route. So also the other sites which are giving, say, by 2030, 51 million ton, out of which flat products will be 44, because wherever that you have get a better money, get a better money by selling it, you do that in flat products, you get more, because they are also being sold to the people who are sensitized to it, like automobile industries, that refrigerator, other application goods, those are not very unlike the housing industry, which are very cost sensitive. So therefore, people plan to go for mostly for flat products. So these are the around 50 million, 1 million ton, which expects to do by 2030. Then main steel producers, provinces like in China. China also, as you know, they produce almost more than half of this production in the steel in the world is by China. So they are also quite advanced that side. They are, this is the one I have given for what is the situation in China. Excuse me. So circular economy is also important, use of hydrogen. South China is also Southeast West China. The abundant green power is available. So therefore the green hydrogen they are planning to do. CCS, carbon capture, they do it in 400 million ton per annum. They're planning to do it in Tianjin, Shanghai, possibility of economic CCS, shared pipeline also they're going to use. So they're using in the oil grid, they are putting in this. Again, why it is going, I don't know.
Thank you, sir.
No. That T is there. That is, I don't know, is it shared or I think there is, yeah. There is some problem is coming. Okay. If you have time, then I can cover, some projects which you have done. This is like, uh, if you have the time, then I can cover this national steel policy and some application of the steel side. So if you have time, I can do it. Otherwise, if there is any question, I can do as well. So I can see, like, I can take a project what we have taken, because life cycle analysis is very, very important. So that I want to propagate. Life cycle analysis has to come, because the use of weight construction, while you are making a building or whatever thing, if you're doing the weight construction, you're using the potable water, and you are, if it's a dry construction, mean like, if you're using the complete steel building, for example, like when you see that, airports, there is a steel building actually, their facade is glass and mostly that bearing material is steel instead of RCC, reinforced concrete steel. Of course, they are also using steel, but not completely steel. So, but life cycle cost analysis is very important in that side. So, therefore, I can cover a sustainability thing. These are the economic benefit of having this use of steel, that why the role is playing. Okay. Uh, this three major sustainability thing of this environmental, social, and economic. Steel is the most recycled material on the planet, and more than all materials combined that I mentioned, steel is used 30 times more than aluminum, which is just 70 million ton, and aluminum is 17 times more than copper. So the steel is the most recycled material in the planet, more than the all materials combined together. This is said by American Steel Association. Nearly 100% of the steel industry output material can be used in production of steel, concrete, or electricity, fertilizer, plastics, a truly sustainable material. Then these are the what is the benefit of this thing? We said that we have the quicker return on investment, it's a faster, it is a reduced cost of preliminaries, then it's a fewer disruption and disturbances. Manufacturing is assured quality. If you buy say car, you don't go and think about like how the oil scrubber ring, whether it is properly fitted in the your engine or not, because it's a factory made. But here, suppose you are making a house, so then you have to be careful whether curing is done properly or not, whether this thickness is properly maintained in the slab, or thickness is properly maintained in a column, or the proper rod is steel rod, that is RCB used or not. So you have to be careful. But if it is manufactured from the plant, you are assured quality. It is safe because minimum on-site handling is there. It is zero waste, endlessly recyclable. It is, after also recyclable, it retains the property of the value. It is a rapid construction, relocable, skilled workforce, and long span. So therefore, now you see the advancement of steel industry is there. It's a solution-based. Services are there. Low carbon emission, high strength steel, which is what you are using earlier. Now the steel used for the particular use is also less than what it was there, because the high strength steel are available. Supply chain is more efficient these days. Value added products are there, and high performance steels are available. So therefore, in the long run, it's a less cost. So we need to, I just mentioned about LCCA, that is life cycle cost analysis has to be there, because it is not only just making the one initial cost, but it's service cost, prevention cost, operating cost, and disposal cost earlier as well. So it is very important. It has to come gradually. It is coming, but it has to come through regulation. As you said, the gamut of LCCA, it cost material time, replacement, OPEX, not only OPEX, it is repurchases. And maintaining it is important. It's a non-cost item like health benefits, water saving, noise, disruption, and ease of extension, recyclability, and pollution. And if you see the gamut of this one, it is not only from the just a construction, but it's from concept to disposal, starting from your design, construction, commissioning, operation, decommissioning, and disposal. So how this is one taking place? So this is the total gamut of management through life cycle, what you say. In just briefly, I given here. So I'll just give you as 30-meter span bridge. When I was in Instac, that is the one they did there. So initial construction for a bridge, though it is 14 crore compared to that one which is 10.75, but the life cycle cost, when you see that, it is scoring up. So it's a 50-year span we have seen. So similarly, it can be done in other cases as well. So what we gain in life cycle costing analysis, so this is briefly given here. And also life cycle cost analysis is not just a fancy, but for the answer for sustainability. Because we are talking about sustainability, I thought that I'll bring this point to you. So another point what I was giving you, that here in Kolkata, we just made the international steel competition, architecture winning competition in Paris. So that house is being built here, already built in Kolkata New Town. So that is called Restelo, the Living Steel project, where I was involved. So this is just thought that I'll give you an example of that. Let me see if it is there. Yeah, this is the Restelo. It's called Christian as Restelo. This is the daytime picture of this. And yeah, this is the details about the project. This is in reality, actual the one, the location. And it is the competition is the international competition throughout the world. It was done, and PRC Corner is the winning architect, and Price and Myers was the one structural engineer. So this is that place, the Livingston International Architect Competition. This is the panel which was there. So this is in reality which is done. The small movie is there. If you want to see, I can show you that. Let me see if it is possible. Yeah.
So there's no screen share. So kindly
Oh, what is not shared, is it? Oh,
So the
I'm
presentation is not showing, sir.
oh, okay. Let me see. I was thinking that we shared. Okay, I'll just go there. What do I do? I have to go. I have to close and then do. Is it? Ah, your screen is paused. It says share. Is it shared now?
No, sir.
Not yet. Is it shared now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay, good. So I was thinking that it's done. So I was showing you something. Mm,
So again, the presentation is not showing.
Okay, okay, okay. Let me see why this is coming.
Sir, so do not full screen, otherwise it is not showing, sir.
Oh, I have to do full screen, is it?
So do not do full screen.
Oh,
As you're doing full screen, it is not showing.
it is actually going. It was giving us some problem that side.
Yes, sir.
Let me see that if it is possible to get that one. I don't know. Let me see. Six. Maybe there is some problem which is taking place. Yeah.
So the presentation is not showing, sir.
Is it coming? Is it showing? Can you see my presentation? No?
No, sir, it is currently not visible, sir.
Okay, okay, okay. I was trying to share. So is it coming?
No, sir.
Yeah.
So you may cancel and again, yes, sir, it is now there.
Oh,
Okay,
it
sir.
is now showing, is it?
Yes, sir, it
I
is showing.
wanted to show a small movie. Let me see if it is possible to do. 22. Where is that? I want to show a brief. Yeah. Is it now? Is it showing? Is it showing?
No,
Can
sir.
you see this? Why is it that I was just about to, I was playing a movie, small movie. I don't know how to show it because, is it now showing?
So the presentation is showing, sir.
But if I go to a movie, it stops showing. I don't know why.
Yes, yes, sir.
But let me see if it is possible to media player. Media player, that means it is not taking. If I'm putting it, the media player is not showing. Ah, is it showing now? Can you see my screen? Can you see my screen?
No, sir. It is blank.
Okay, okay, okay. I think there is some
Sir, actually,
problem.
the presentation is behind, but the it is
Okay,
yes, sir.
okay.
The PDF is showing,
You can,
sir.
yeah, you can see my picture here.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Then I'm showing that the presentation, but I have now, when I try to play that small video, it was very interesting, but we can't see it anyway. That this is the Restolo project here in Kolkata in India. It is the first time in the country in India where the like where the steel building, residential steel building, international winning building, it is there in the new town. So it is called Restolo. Christians are Restolo. This is the building what you can see in reality. This is the one which is done through World Steel Association. Under the aegis of World Steel Association, the different steel companies around the world, they made a consortium called Living Steel. That is to showcase around the world, like the sustainability of steel. As I mentioned, what are the advantage of this? The people are cutting woods, or they're using, weight construction, polluting the industry, using potable water. But steel is that way more recyclable, more faster. It is a stronger material, earthquake resistant, blah blah, in other cases. So they wanted to showcase this thing. Like when you go to USA, they cut the woods to have these houses. When you go to, that cold countries, their norms are different than to hot countries like India. So they wanted to showcase around the world, like the steel, not only just beautiful, they can also be more friendly, eco-friendly, as well as this thing. So therefore, they constructed a few buildings around the world, and India is one of them. And India, that too, we had the project here in Kolkata, New Town. I had the opportunity to be there with this, and this project was implemented here in New Town, Kolkata. And it is Christian Restello. It is just, if you cross the, you enter this new town from the Salt Lake side, it is on the right hand side. It's a twin skin building. That means like you can have a one screen which is normal. The other screen, what you see here is a perforated screen. It is open and closed. So you have more green house effect is there. So this is the reality which has taken place. The people around the world came and they applauded many places in Europe also. They don't see this type of building. There's a Living Steel International competition which took place in Paris. On that basis, PRC Corner was the one which was selected for this as a winning architect. Then through use of Price and Mayers and the Tata BlueScope Steel, they supplied the steel and they erected the project. And this is the international architect company where the Glenn Mackert of Australia was the chairman of the jury. They decided the one. The Brazil, James was there, for the former president of BOA was also part of it. And then Charles Correa from India, that if you recall, he is with Charles Correa. I actually invited, he is no more now, but he was the one of the group who was actually part of this competition, international competition jury. Then we Andrew Hausalvik of Poland was also part of it, and then the James Berry of UK, who is a developer, he was also in the group, and Mr. Nicholas of US. They are the one who decided the competition, the jury panel, and they selected this Price and Myers and the PSC Corner to have this building. So this is the concept they did. It's the twin skin building, as you say, that both the things are there. Both the skin opening and closing. That concept is there. So that's a very unique concept, and in real it is implemented also. So then with the urban housing, that is versatility, diversity, adaptability, and dependability is also there. So benefit of it is social, economic, and environmental. Very briefly, I'm mentioning about this. And also that urban housing growing need and how the migration taking place because of the urbanization. So this is saying every day you are almost building a city in the world. Every hour you are making actually 4,000 houses in the planet. So therefore, this is very important to have this proper way of construction. So that is that, challenge, your summary, and the challenge is the future. There's a search for effective and affordable housing solutions. Challenge is to balance social and economic environmental needs. The steel is increasingly being recognized as a smart and viable option for the residential housing throughout the world. So Living Steel is committed to affordable this thing. So this is the G plus basement or ground for six project, HIG project. It is RAMS is parallel. And this is the layout of this thing. There's a structural layout. The further details, I think it is fine. It's actually this in construction, actually in reality, it is constructed, it's a bolted structure. So this is the bolted, how the different places it took place. It's just to for the benefit of the people who are there. Many people from the architect, Jadavpur University, they visited. This is an actual pictures, taken during construction. And this is a, while erection is there, there is a very dry and very neat construction practices. So this is the places where the people are coming and inspecting that. Even Professor Balaratnan was there. There, Dr. Satish, who's of IIT Madras, he also explored this thing. They found that this is better than what is stipulated. Different views are there in different stages of it. Angle, in a different view of the floors when being done, back sides of this one, deck, and rest of this is after completion. This is the front side of this, and this is the one when we took we also encouraged people from different students. They came and visited the place because it's a rare occasion to see a steel building being done. So they also visited almost 5 or 6 visits we conducted there by the students. So this is the workforce. And this is the one when it was inaugurated, the Restolo. Scott Chaps was the director of this one, and Mr. Sen of Newtown, he was the chairman. This is Ravi Todi. They are the two, Sachi, we met this one. This is me who were there in the during inauguration of this building. So this is the propagation of this thing. So I think there are we can talk further, but I think the time is almost over. Don't want to take the time from the next speaker. But if there is any questions or anything, we can say. Otherwise, we can say we can make some time. So do I stop sharing the screen or something? What is it? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Professor Jana. Am I audible or is like, hello? I can't hear anyone. Can you hear me, Professor Jana?
Any questions from the participants?
Yeah.
Please ask the question or can write in the chat box. We'll forward
Yeah,
it to.
yeah, it will be pleasure to give them. I don't know whether it is like you find useful, but I thought that sharing the one which is industry's prospect, I thought of.
So there's a question from C. Viswas. The question
Mhm.
is, uh, can we use renewable energy in steel sector?
Yes, yes, very much. You know that the effort is to do the renewable energy. You know that renewable energy. See, steel sector can use any energy. If the renewable available, they will use it instead of say thermal power generation. If it comes through say wind power or solar power, because you see many steel companies are also putting it. Also, they are buying it from there. So energy in any form, we love to use green energy, either through solar or through hydro or through biochar or through any other form. And in USA last time it was there. They are now instead of having, they are making a very small capsule of nuclear energy. It's like there's a capsule they use it for. Once you use that technology they have developed, they say, but it is not. It some cases it is being utilized in steel industry, but it's a pilot scale. But if it is comes to maybe in future, it will come maybe another 10-20 decades, because safety norms has to be very much that during disposal and all of these things. So we are using, and that is the effort actually. We have to be remain green. That I mentioned, like transition from existing level to green. Our future aim is there, because 19 by 2045, Tata Steel is committed to become complete like carbon neutral. So also other steel companies, if you recall the chart there, I mentioned like different steel companies around the world, they're given their views that it's a multi-generation commitment, as I mentioned. So we have to use this. This thing. Yeah, it is very much useful. We to like to use it, but 100% not yet possible. But it is being tried. Like as I showed you, around 51 million ton of the greenhouse. When net zero steel is going to come by 2030,
Right.
and so also China is doing around CCS and all these effects. And India also, people like Tata Steel, SAIL, Jindal, JSW, they are also doing it. Yes, it is done. Yeah, I can say question is yes. Answer is
Thank you,
yes.
sir. There's another question from
Yes.
Dr. Putu Banerjee. The question is, recent trends we see that apart from integrated steel plants, we lean towards small steel plants, mainly equipped with electrical arc furnace.
Right.
Here we can use DRI and scrap. In
Yes, yes,
case
yes.
DRI production, two types are there, gas-based and coal-based. There's
Right.
also pollution level is higher. And other scenario may many ferroalloy industry are
Parallels.
take part in the steel industry. So how can we mitigate their pollution levels?
Yeah, like you know that there is there are two different ways. One the one BF BOF, that is BF means blast furnace, and the BOF is basic oxygen furnace, that is LD or something you said. Another concept is the DRI and electric arc furnace. What Mr. Banerjee is, I think he's giving it. He's right to say there, you know that that is there. If you suppose you are using DRI you can directly reduce iron. You can produce either through natural gas or through use of final aim is to use by using hydrogen. So even if a DRI, if you do through natural gas, that pollution level lower than the blast furnace level. And when you do through electric arc furnace, the pollution is lower than basic gas furnace. So this is the one, if you see that like people are transitioning towards this. Once the country also grows, when the scrap generation is higher, people go towards electric arc furnace. And to supplement that one, if the scrap is not able, they'll go through DRI. And the DRI will also being done through a natural gas or through hydrogen. So that is the one which is aiming to that. Like if you see the transition, what I mentioned from existing to final green level. So this is the way, and this electric arc furnace and DRI based and scrap based is one of them.
Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Due to time constraints, we cannot take any further questions. So as we
Okay.
come to the close of this incredibly insightful session, it is my privilege and pleasure to extend a heartfelt thank you to our distinguished speaker, Mr. PK Sen, for sharing his expertise and vision with us today. His talk on towards carbon neutral industries, leveraging renewables for sustainable growth, has not only been enlightening, but also deeply thought provoking. He has reminded us that carbon neutrality is not just an environmental necessity, but an industrial opportunity, a chance to innovate, to lead, to build a future where growth does not come at the cost of our planet. We are grateful, sir, uh, PK Sen, sir, for this
Thank you.
presentation.
Thank you very much, Professor Jana. You have summarized very well, and it's a pleasure, talking to you. It's like people who are faculty, and it's nice talking to you. If there is anything else now or in future, I'm there available for this thing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye to everyone. I enjoyed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all. So we'll kindly move on to the next session. Our speaker for the next session has already joined. So, Logarithm, sir, uh, kindly we just check with the audio and the.
Yeah. Good evening to all of you.
Good evening, sir. The audio is clear, sir.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can share the
slide. Yeah.
Yes. Go.
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir. It's visible.
Right.
Yes, sir. So let me start to this now this session. So very good evening to everyone. Now for this session we have Dr. M.K. Loganathan sir, Chief Reliability Consultant, Crimson Energy Expert Private Limited, will present on AI and machine learning in renewable energy systems Acceleration Climate Smart Transition. So let me first introduce our speaker. Dr. Loganathan earned his PhD from IIT Delhi and pursued postdoctoral research at Changgung University, Taiwan. His MTech is from Maulana Azad National Institute of Technology, Bhopal. He pursued his BE degree from Government Engineering College, Tamil Nadu. His research interests are in renewable energy, EV, lithium-ion battery, risk and reliability studies of engineering system and manufacturing engineering. Presently, he is Chief Reliability Consultant at Crimson Energy Expert Private Limited, New Delhi since 1st June 2024. He is former principal at GVACT SGVU Jaipur, former Dean and Director of IQAC at AKU Jorhat, Assam for 8 years, former teaching faculty at NCERC KMCT Kerala for 5 years, former section engineer at Mahindra Hinode Industries Limited, Pune, former senior engineer at Hindustan Motors Limited, Indore for 6 years. With significant industry and academic experience, his specialization in reliability and maintenance of infrastructure, renewable energy, coastal environmental studies. He has secured sponsored research funding, industrial consultation, supervised doctoral and master's students, and published extensively in reputed journals. So, thank you so much, sir, for being with us today. Now you can proceed, sir. The stage is yours, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Jana. And I'm really happy to meet the faculty fraternity, right, to whom I'm going to talk for just maybe an hour to share my experience and my just, the fundamentals of, the application of AI and ML in renewable energy systems. Thanks once again for giving me this opportunity to present in front of this big team of faculties. All right. So this, this my talk is not going to be in deep about this all models, A and ML models, and just I will be just restricting myself just overview of A and ML models and application with respect to different energy systems which are extensively employed in present scenario for producing energy. So why we go for renewable energy? So just let us just discuss the main objective of going towards renewable energy sources. Since the countries, the organizations are the part of this particular Paris Agreement, to limit the global warming relative to the pre-industrial baseline. So pre-industrial baseline means that around 100 and 125 years back, how much the temperature was. So we have to hold the particular temperature even in the present scenario. Though we have got that reasonably increased the average temperature, in the ambient conditions. So we have to pursue the efforts to limit the temperature increase to maybe 1.5 degrees Celsius above the pre-industrial levels. So that is the target given to the countries, right? And we are also part of sustainable development, goals, right? It's a part of UN. Of course, in order to meet the goals, different goals of SDG or the goals defined by UN, we need to transition from non-renewable energy sources to the renewable energy sources. So these are the prime, objective of having the transition from the existing conventional way of harvesting the energy to the modern way of harvesting energy, which is nothing but renewable energy sources. So what are the key directions in renewable energy sources? So what we have existing energies, and we have to improve the efficiencies or the performance of the energies. We have to ensure that the energies, the system is sustainable, right? So there are around 4 key directions in the technology innovation roadmap for renewable energy sources. The first is that to reduce the direct costs, which is involved in the production of the components of these renewable energy systems. The second, which is very important item, is that to improve the energy conversion efficiency per power output, etc. And then In the meanwhile, you have to produce the energy with the least cost. So we have to ensure that operation cost is also less. And then finally, which is very important, is that to ensure that the system which is sustainable, mean that it consumes less energy in order to produce the energy, and also it should not affect the ecosystem by not producing the emissions, etc. So these are the prime important key directions in which the renewable energy research, the manufacturing, design is taking place. Of course, so these are the basic renewable energy systems existing. The hydropower, which uses the waterhead, which converts the waterhead into energy, into kinetic energy, and it produces electricity. And the wind energy, it covers the wind speed and produces energy. And solar, of course, it uses the solar irradiance. And bioenergy, which converts the biological waste into biofuel, which is mostly methane. And then the last two energies, like marine and geothermal energies, which are picking up, which are not mature technologies as of now. So most extensively, employed or installed energy systems are hydropower, wind, and the solar. Of course, the fourth place is occupied by the bioenergy systems. Okay, so the data I produce here is the installed renewable energy system in India. In 2022, we had around 67 gigawatts of the plant in solar. In 2025, we have got around 105 gigawatts. So around almost 50% of the rise in this particular solar edge. There's a huge potential of installing this particular energy systems. And the second is the wind. Wind, of course, it needs huge initial expenditures. Of course, the efficiencies is not so high as compared to this solar and all. So the growth of this wind is still getting picked up. So it's not much developed in terms of that. But so anyway, but still the government is putting a lot of money in developing these particular wind energy systems based on the location and the ambient condition, etc. And then hydro, of course, is a large project which needs huge investment. It is already existing, but there are the ambitious projects are coming up in terms of small hydro power plants, etc. But so we have a little capacity as far as the hydro power plant is concerned. Of course, these other renewable energy sources like biomass, small hydro, as I told you earlier, and also we are switching over to waste to energy systems. So we reasonably achieved, maybe as a part of, transitioning towards renewable energy systems. So if you see that the total increase in the capacity of renewable energy, the output, right, around 40% of the growth has happened since last 3 years. So this is a significant achievement towards transition of the energy systems from non-renewable to renewable energy systems. So overall, if you see the global energy production is again 40% we have achieved in last 3 years. So there is a tremendous potential. There is a growth requirement for renewable energy sources. So we are really pushing our limits to achieve maximum potential, right? So in harvesting the renewable energy sources. Of course, there are a lot of challenges in installing the renewable energy sources. There are some socio-economic and technological challenges. So the first is that acquiring the land is always a difficult task, to have to put a huge, the size of the projects. Like, for example, if you want to put a solar, field, you need a huge amount of land. So the site availability is another important challenge, right? And if you want to install the wind turbine, so we have to choose the appropriate site accordingly, where you have appropriate wind speed, and you should not affect the sustainability, or you have to ensure that ecosystem is not affected much by installing these power plants, etc. So the land acquisition and site availability still is a major challenge. right, as far as the selection of renewable energy systems. Second challenge is that the grid integration infrastructure. So whether we have that existing infrastructure, that conventional way of producing energy systems like a coal plant, thermal plant, etc., the existing infrastructure can be used for this grid integration, or you have to convert the existing grid, right, to accommodate this particular renewable energy systems, or you can integrate both conventional and also this renewable energy system grid integration, etc. So this is again challenge. So it needs technological, challenges to be addressed in here. Of course, it needs a lot of financial investments, and the companies has to see that they earn revenue, they get revenue, right, by investing a lot of money. So there is of course the risk involved in this particular aspect. And regulatory and policy uncertainty is existing there. Government has laid down a lot of regulatory framework, and the renewable energy sources have to meet the policy requirement of the government. And the energy storage limitation again. So when you produce the current, you have to store somewhere. So the challenge is to store the energy somewhere. So nowadays, the lithium and battery storage systems are coming up, or you can even store using pumped, water system, etc. So we can use the different means of storing energy, but still there is a challenge that the huge capacity of lithium and battery is really required to have the high capacity storage systems. So there is still limitations, and technology and manufacturing gaps still existing. When you have the technology, but is it feasible to implement to manufacture that particular the components of the energy systems? So the still gap is there. While we have R&D capabilities, but the manufacturing infrastructure is still lagging behind in manufacturing renewable energy systems. Skilled workforce shortage is there, because in order to operate, for example, a biogas plant, you need to have a skilled manpower. Otherwise, the efficiency, the performance will be affected, right? And also, the plant cannot be a sustainable unit. So, but while you have people to operate the solar, which can be automatic, or even the wind turbine can be even automatic to some extent, but still we need a skilled workforce in order to even maintain, right, and operate these renewable energy storage systems and etc. And as I told you earlier, that there are challenges as far as the environment and the social, issues is concerned, right? So the wind turbine, wind power should not impact the biological species in the vicinity of the power production unit. Of course, there is a challenge, right? Because the wind blades may impact or may hit the birds flying in and around the vicinity of that particular project. So of course, it will definitely, affect the biological species living over there. So still there is a challenge, right, where you have the good amount of wind speed, but you have to ensure that it is not affecting the living being or the biological surrounding of that particular project. But still, social impact. If you want to put a project, you have to evacuate. You have to clean the land. You have to evacuate. You have to ensure the people migration, or you have to provide the alternative solution for migration of the population. So it will definitely impact the society of the surroundings, right, in and around. There is a demand-supply mismatch. The problem with this renewable energy sources, like these energies are really variable. Variable mean it produce, for example, the wind, where the wind speed is high, the wind turbine will produce more energy. If the wind speed is less, of course, the wind energy production will be less. So the supply is varying, right? But the demand is always constant. For example, if the demand is peak, if the particular energy system is not able to, supply, of course, there is a mismatch. So there is a problem with this particular, systems. Even in case of solar, the solar irradiance is there. It will be able to produce the enough energy to meet the requirement. Otherwise, there is always low level of supply and the demand is not fulfilled. So these two energy systems are really, highly variable, and there is always mismatch between the demand and supply. And as I mentioned earlier, that there is an integration, right, with the industry, right? So industries are now going for, utilizing the renewable energy systems. But when they put up their plant and they have to integrate their system with the existing grid, is a real challenge, right? So they have to put a lot of money on that. So there are some challenges behind this. And also the urban planning, of course, if you want to harvest the renewable energy sources, you need to have, the urban plan to be properly planned, and accordingly you can accommodate the renewable energy system. So the planning is really a big challenge, right? While ensuring the other, planning requirement like, waste management, the other, the town planning, etc. Right? And the infrastructures, which is really essential for urban planning. Okay, so just to see the demand fluctuation in as far as the production is concerned, the supply is concerned, right? There is always a challenge in the weather, the intermittent changes in the weather, right? So there is a speed, the wind speed is very high or sometimes low, or irradiance may fluctuate from time to time. So these are always inaccurate weather forecasts that affect the solar and wind output. So there is always possibility of, inaccurate, prediction in case of, forecasting of weather and all. So there is a possibility that there is always, unreliable demand predictions that may lead to grid imbalance. So grid imbalance means, again, that is a mismatch between demand and supply. So the grid is not able to, supply as where there is a demand. Or if it is producing more, supply of power, but the demand is not so high. So that there is a mismatch between. So the complete demand or the grid becomes unreliable. So that is a big challenge here. So how this A and ML solutions, meet this particular, requirement to be addressed here. So using A and ML model, you can forecast and predict that the wind flow, right, and the solar irradiance. So AI models forecast the solar irradiance, and it can evaluate the wind speeds at the time, etc. And also it can predict the cloud cover, how much amount of cloud has come over that particular field, etc. So similarly, ML models can produce the electricity demand, right? So based on the past data. Normally, ML models are to be trained with the help of past data that we know, right, or historical data, and it can provide the real time, prediction, right? How much the electricity to be produced according to the demand, right? So that will help you to provide the demand, and then you can accordingly you can set up your infrastructure to produce that particular grid. So this AI and ML model can be very effective in forecasting the different parameters of this renewable sources. And grid instability, of course, grid instability is happening due to intermittent renewable energy supply. Again, that because of the virtue of the variable nature of that particular wind turbine or the solar panels, etc. So there is always a risk during peak hours, because peak hours mean the high demand. So you are not able to supply. So the supply is intermittent. So because of that, the grid is unstable. So this is a big challenge. So in order to alleviate this particular problem, so this A and ML model can be useful by making the grid as a smart grid, right? So there is a smart grid technology which is coming up and which has been extensively implemented in existing or integrated in the existing conventional energy systems, etc. So AI model optimizes the grid operation in real time, and the model ML models and all that enables the demand response system to shift or to reduce the consumption of the energy during the peak times. So you can see the demand variation, right, through this frequency change charter, etc. So of course, ultimately you can ensure that the grid is reliable and also resilient. Resilient means it can quickly bounce back to meet the demand requirement, etc. So by having a smart grid, you can be able to balance the grid. That is the main advantage of having this particular AI and ML model solution. And also you can be able to reduce the operational and maintenance costs, and also the outages. Outages mean that maintenance issues. When the plant is down, you will not be able to produce the power and all, right? So the outages can be minimized by having this smart grid, etc. And as I mentioned just in the previous slide, there are always challenges, right? Remain unsorted in renewable energy sources because the huge maintenance cost because of the unreliable, operation sometimes happens because the poor maintenance or lack of maintenance, or the system has become very complex. For example, if you talk about wind turbine units, the system has become very complex, and maintaining that particular complex system is really a big challenge, right? So equipment failures and inefficiencies happens during operation, so that definitely affect the output of that particular system. Although we have monitoring maintenance team, but still there is a loss, and by having appropriate maintenance strategies, you can be able to cut down the number of catastrophic breakdowns, or you can develop preventive maintenance programs by having these A&ML solutions. So of course, predictive maintenance techniques can be developed by using A&ML model through monitoring the sensor data. So you can fix that sensors at various point of that particular wind turbine. So for example, the sensor can measure the wind speed, it can measure the vibration, it can measure the temperature inside the bearing, or it can measure the oil lubricating oil, right? Lubricant, which is flowing inside the wind turbine unit. So there are a lot of parameters can be collected and can be monitored, right, in real time. And then you can just evaluate when the turbine may go under breakdown. So that particular, prediction can be possible by using A&ML model, right? So that is the benefit of having this particular algorithms, right, based on A&ML model. So in this way, you can reduce the downtime and maintenance cost. Of course, by cutting down this particular cost, you can be able to cut down the operation cost, overall cost, right? So that the revenue can be on the positive side, right? And also you can be able to increase the energy yield overall, and also the asset can be maintained for long. So the life of the asset can be prolonged, right? So by having predictive models of this. Okay, so that is about the reliability, and of course the storage. So once you are able to produce the power, you have to store somehow, because wind turbine and then solar, though these two major renewable energy sources, they have the problem of variability, right? So the supply, the power produced by these two units are really variable, right, in nature, you can say. So in order to meet the demand, you have to be able to supply the constant or consistent power, right? So the better solution is to have a storage system, of course. So of course, the high cost and limited life of batteries. Of course, if you go for a batteries, I mentioned earlier, right, that nowadays the lithium ion battery is coming up, and it is widely used in automotive industries. And also it is coming to a domestic, application as well. The existing lead acid inverters are being replaced, right, with this lithium-ion batteries. So the huge, power pack is needed to store the power produced by these systems, right? The cost is very high, of course, and the life, if you take the life of the battery, it's limited. So that is a big challenge now in that is. Even in automotive industry, the life of the battery is not more than 4 to 5 years, etc. So this is a challenge. So difficulty in predicting the optimal charge and discharge cycle. Yeah, of course, this is another area where still the R&D is going on, but still we have reached the point where we have obtained the optimal level of charging and discharging cycle, but still in order to harness the maximum efficiency in the performance of the battery storage, still the R&D is taking place, and the development is really on, right? So in order to solve this issue, AI and ML models are being developed, So you can say that smart battery management system, right, that will help you to optimize the battery performance. And the ML model can forecast the energy storage needs, right? How much energy to be stored by that particular battery system based on, again, usage, how much energy is used, and how much energy is generated by that particular unit, right? So based on the generation usage, ML models can forecast the energy storage need, right? How much battery has to be, how much the battery has to store the energy, right? So that particular, aspects can be modeled using this ML machine learning algorithms, and you can effectively, address the particular issues. Of course, you can increase the efficiency of the usage of the battery storage, and you can be able to ensure that the renewable energy is available in the 24/7 manner. Of course, during nighttime, you will not get the solar irradiance. So that time you can have your battery ready, and during daytime your power can be stored in the battery, and during nighttime that stored power can be used. So that is a beautiful, management system which is now coming up to improve the performance of the renewable energy source. And again, this I already mentioned, right? So selection of site is really a big challenge. So it takes a lot of time, right? And if you select the site manually, a lot of errors, right? Because you cannot be able to select the appropriate place, right? And so we need to depend on AI/ML model. So there are algorithms existing to plan and effectively select the site for putting up the projects like solar energy systems and then wind turbine system, etc. So AI models can use even satellite images, right? Images, and also it can use the climate data for selecting ideal locations. And also there are some project simulation models which can help you. There are softwares existing, of course, based on the ML models. You can use to select the site feasibly, right, under multiple scenarios, of course, right? So in order to select the site, you need to study the parameters. What are the different parameters? For example, wind turbine unit. What is the wind speed? Whether it is consistent, right? What is average wind speed? For example, throughout year, how much is the average wind speed? That you need to have. There is a threshold value. If that particular site is able to meet the threshold value, then you set up the plan. Okay, so then that's fine. So you have the wind speed. What is the location? It should not affect the sustainable life of the biological living beings. That you have to ensure, right? And you need to have a huge land again. That should not affect the society, the population, human population. You should ensure that it should not affect the sustainable life of the people. So multiple scenarios can be created, and you can simulate, and you can select the better site for the project which you intend to do, right? So this way you can just ensure that the site selection is faster and very accurate, and also you reduce the development risk of the system, and also reduce the impact on the environment. Yeah, so the financial aspects, the company always look for the ROI, return on investment, and there are some risk involved in market, whether the company is able to generate the revenue by putting a huge amount of money on setting up renewable energy systems. So there is a question, but now as we mentioned earlier, we discussed, right? We are pushed now. We have to move forward, from conventional to renewable. So there is no option left. So we have to keep on working on that. And there are a lot of government schemes existing to attract private players to put more money on these particular energy systems. Of course, this is a very pertinent issue, and we have to go ahead with harnessing or harvesting renewable energy sources. So the financial model, of course, existing. A lot of AI and ML models can be of great help to address these issues, right? Financial issues and all. So there are models existing to optimize the financial investments, right? And it will help the companies to plan the investments properly. So that will help to reduce the financial risk and recommend the investment strategies, etc. So, and also it can take care of the real-time pricing, issues. So for various energy markets. So these are the benefits if we just apply this AI and ML model for addressing the financial risks, etc. Sustainability issue. You see, still we are in the process of achieving the sustainability in production of renewable energies. You see, there are certain challenges which are to be addressed, right? It is difficult to accurately measure and report the emissions. In case of automotive emission, you have the emission center, you have the equipment, you have the system already established. If the emissions are coming from the industry, you have the system well established. But how much emission a wind turbine or the solar panel is producing, that measurement is still is a big challenge. I mean, the ways and means to identify the amount of carbon emitted out of these particular systems are really a big challenge. Right, so there are difficulties reporting these emissions, but still the R&D activities are taking place all over, right? Institutions and the industries are working towards measuring. So this is what you call life cycle, management or life cycle study of particular energy systems. But you see the graph. When you fabricate solar panels or the wind turbine blades or whatever the equipments used for the renewables. So there are emissions, right? So this is, I got it from some paper, right? Research paper. There are emissions, right? The wind and then the solar, they have the impact. They impact the sustainability. They have the emissions. And during construction also, they have the emissions. Operation, they produce, right? The decommissioning, again, the recycling you have to do. So there are certain level of emissions. So the emissions are to be reduced, right? So if it is done manually, again, so tracking of carbon emission is really difficult, but there are some solutions that an ML model can provide for the carbon tracking and sustainability monitoring system. So it can track the emissions, it can track the carbon footprints, it can help to evaluate the compliance with the sustainable targets and the ESG score. ESG score means environment, social and governance score, right? So you can have these models to help to evaluate certain parameters which is pertaining to this emission and carbon footprint, etc. So that you can optimize and you can have a transparent and better reporting, system for these emissions, right? And also it can help to address the climate issues, and it will help to meet the regulatory compliance, etc., as per the particular, sustainable development goals, etc. Adaptability issues. People have low awareness and adoption of rooftop solar and smart energy use. Of course, in domestic purpose, we try to utilize, but you see how much population have migrated from from using the existing conventional energy system to rooftop solar, but still hardly you can just count the numbers. But there are a long way to go in terms of putting the rooftop solar. So you have your own solar panel system or energy systems over your rooftop. You have enough sufficient size of the roof, right, in your house, in your above, or you can just put the solar panel at subsidies rate and all. So it is done by governments. The government is encouraging, but still the public awareness is limited. So there is a lack of time, real-time insights into personal energy consumption. Of course. So how much energy is consumed by myself, right? My residential, requirement. We are not able to measure the energy consumption properly. So that is another problem. So we are least bothered about. We pay the electricity bill and we use the electricity which is provided by the electricity board, owned by government and all. But we are least bothered. So eventually we have to switch over to self-sufficient energy management system for it, like rooftop solar system, etc. So for that we have to monitor the personal energy consumption. There are apps available. We have seen that the students even can develop a A and ML algorithms to, monitor your energy consumption at your residential building. Accordingly, you can set up your own, consumption pattern. And accordingly, you can also plan for putting up roof or top solar energy systems, etc. Right? So these are the different various applications can address that the adaptability issues. Yeah, so this is very basic. I put just to have a basic understanding. I think most of the engineering community, know all these aspects, right? So we started from the artificial intelligence long ago, maybe around 50 to 60 years back. That's about the human intelligence, which is executed by the machines, right? So that is the starting of this particular AI, technology. Then we move to machine learning. Machine learning means the machine learn based on the historical data. So you need to have a huge amount of data to train that machine learning model to help you to evaluate or predict the supply or the demand of your system, etc. And then we move to deep learning, system that is more advanced, which is nothing but you can say that combination of this artificial intelligence or the machine learning system. So it needs more advanced, algorithm, right, to mimic that human brain function. So ultimately it mimics the human brain functions. And ultimately we are in the era of, generative AI. Of course, the ChatGPT and so many, AI models, AI tools are available in order to predict. So which are widely used, tools which are based on the deep learning model, right? It can create the original content of the system, what you expect it to do, right? So these are the basic A and ML models, which we are familiar already. Just have an idea about that. This is very important. Just I have some idea. We have some experiment. We applied this model. Most of us must be knowing about the linear regression, which is very basic mathematical model, which is widely used in ML algorithm, right? So the ML is using this regression, right, for solving several, industrial problem. So for example, if you want to predict the power production, right, how much power to be produced by the wind turbine. So if you have the data of wind speed, if you see the x-axis, you have the wind speed in x-axis, meter per second. In y-axis, you have the power produced, right? So the quantity to be produced is here the power, right? How? So if you know the wind speed, you can ultimately evaluate how much power can be produced. You can predict by using this. So this is very basic model, a linear regression, which is based on the linear equation y equal to ax plus b, which everyone is familiar of, right? So using this, you can easily predict the parameters which has been critical to assess the performance of the wind turbine system or the solar energy systems, etc. Is mostly supervised learning, which is supervised mean the data is not labeled. So I think that is very common and the basic idea of having this kind of things. Okay, so these A and ML models are widely used right from design to distribution, right? You can optimize the parameters, you can design, you can optimize the design parameters, you can have control algorithm by using ML and IL models, distribution, smart grid, and also you can manage the different parameters, right, which will help you to address how much supply to meet that particular peak demand, etc. So there are so many areas where you can explore this AI/ML model, right? So again, this artificial neural network, right? So these are another very old technology in AI, but still we are harvesting this particular the potential of AI/ML model in solar energy production. So this is very basic thing, right? So the neurons are used to train the data, and you can get the output, right? So the different parameters can be input like a time, historical power information, and then that input can be obtained from meteorological lab. So these are various parameters can be input for predicting or forecasting how much power can be produced by this particular solar system. So these are the very basic.
Sorry to interrupt, sir.
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
you make it full screen, because the diagram are very coming small in screen? So
Okay, okay. So sorry that I did not notice this. And let
yes,
me
yes,
see.
a full screen it will be visible, more visible to us.
Okay, okay. Full screen. I'll just. Is it fine?
So thank you. It's full
Okay.
screen now. It's coming.
So thank you so much for helping me to address this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So again, so you can just use this AI/ML model for PV sizing. PV sizing means how much, how many panels to be selected. How many panels to be selected, and what are the different parameters to select the particular size of the solar panel. So you see that the huge solar park are being set up in India, right, in various part of India. So how much sizing mean the capacity, right? So that starts from the designing of the solar panel, right? So you can use a model, and you can also have control algorithm, right? So that will help you to address the grid instability, right? It can help you to address the demand supply mismatch. So you can be able to control how much power to be distributed based on the demand. And also, as I told you, that maintenance, right? So there are it is in evident that the machine or the equipment will definitely go under breakdown, right? There are some problems, issues while operating the machine. The wind turbine will definitely, fail, right? So after some time, if you just continuously operate for a long time, definitely there is a possibility that thing. So maintenance is a regular, activity. For that, you have to put a lot of, effort, right? Investment, manpower is required to maintain that, to check periodically. You need to put a manpower again manually. So these things can be addressed very effectively by having a advanced AI/ML model. By just monitoring various parameters, you can easily predict when that machine will go down, right? So that kind of a prediction can be possible. So when you know that when the machine is going under breakdown, of course you can be able to take a precautionary action, right? Preventive maintenance action. This is possible. So by continuously monitoring various parameters of that particular equipment. Of course, the demand side, as I mentioned, that you can forecast is by using that. Of course, that there is always security problem, but whatever the data you just process using AI/ML model, and you need to have a robust cyber security system. For that also, AI can be, applied, right? So these are the very important areas where you can explore the potential of artificial intelligence. Yeah, this I think I already addressed that regarding this maintenance. So you see that man standing on the um, rotor of the big wind turbine unit. So the maintenance is really a Herculean task as far as the wind energy system is concerned, right? So there's a huge electrical motor is rotating, and then the big energies or energy drives, for example, that huge gearbox, so different gear system inside, because the gear system has to rotate the wind turbine based on the speed, right? Based on the wind speed. So it requires, and also huge generator. So the huge system maintenance is really a big task, right? So how to predict, because manual prediction or manual monitoring is really a big challenge. So we have to go for AI/ML model. For that, the challenge using this AI again is really pertinent, because you need to have a data, right? So in order to train ML model, you need to have a huge amount of data. Then only you can be able to predict the maintenance time of that particular machine or equipment. So that is a big challenge. Of course, now that things are coming, and the data is being recorded, and the AI models or the ML models are easily trained, and you can be able to evaluate that time for taking up the maintenance activity for instance, right? So these are the critical issues which have to be addressed as far as the maintenance is concerned. That can be possible only through this particular AI in data analytic models, etc. Yeah, so this is again the same, AI in model for predicting the wind energy production, right? So, what are the different, parameters you require, like weather condition, right? And operation parameters. So these are the things are to be input and they are processed using this AI model, right? And you can be able to predict how much, energy to be produced to meet that particular demand, right? So these are very basic models. I just to put this to have some basic understanding over here. Actually, this ANN model is working based on the human, neurological system. So that is the basic idea of having this, right? AI techniques employed in wind energy systems. Again, so different, AI models and machine learning algorithms are used, right, for predicting various, output of energy systems, right? So this again, the same thing is here. I think you see this. This is the first world's first AI designed wind turbine unit, right? So a different sort of wind turbine, which is not a conventional one, which is vertical axis. You see, it is vertically mounted, and it is purely designed based on this AI model. That is that UK company has unveiled this particular unit, right? So what are the different parameters you can optimize? The blade length and then shape. It has got different parabolic shape, right? Shape. And the material is another important thing where you have to be very careful, right? Selecting the material, you have to optimize the material, and then tip speed ratio. So there is a ratio which decides the efficiency of the wind turbine unit, right? So the speed ratio. So these are the different parameters by using which you can have the blade design, right? So this is the first of its kind. The AI has helped us to design. Yeah, so this is a way you can explore more. And AI has also a big role, right, in maintaining the operational health of lithium and battery. Of course, in automotive car, we have been using the lithium and battery, and the EVs are coming up now. And what is the life of the EV battery is again the question. So if you just roughly say that 5 years, 6 years, if you just talk about the lead acid battery in your car, it will not last for more than 4 years, right? That is a warranty period, right? So what is the life of lithium and battery? That there are some algorithms being developed, AI models are being developed to monitor the state of charge or state of health or the remaining useful life of the particular battery while in operation. So these are the different, parameters or the health status or the charging status can be monitored with the help of AI models, so that you can be able to take corrective action. So when you know that when the battery is going to be down, then you can take appropriate action. I mean, before it fails, you can be able to either recharge it or you can replace it, right? Before the life ceases to finish, you can say, before the battery loses its life, the whole life, you can take corrective action. So that is the beauty of this particular AI and ML model, right? So AI has been widely explored, right, for monitoring the health of this battery system. And AI techniques in bioenergy, of course, there are papers published on this. You can predict how much methane, right, can be produced out of the bioenergy plant. Bioenergy plant means use that biological waste, like a cow dung, for example, a cow dung, use the cow dung, and you just to subject that particular cow dung into co-digestion, is nothing but anaerobic digestion, and the bacteria are produced, and that good bacteria will help to produce that methane, right? So you get the methane gas, which is the out of this bioenergy systems. So that how much methane can be produced, of course, that AI model can be able to effectively predict it. Accordingly, you can take actions on design improvement or process improvement, or as far as maintenance is concerned, that also you can be able to monitor. monitoring, all those things, right? So, and also you can be able to maintain the operating parameters as well, right? So, for example, in order to produce the optimal level of methane, you need to have the pH value of the composition of the input material. For example, you have to mix that cow dung, the biological waste, with water, right? So you have to have maintain some proportion of cow dung and water, and you have to ensure the pH value, certain pH value. For example, the pH value is around 6.5, right, or 6.75. It should be maintained that way, so that there will be an optimal production of methane, right? So there is a pH value, and how much proportion, or what is the proportion, right, with which that cow dung can be mixed with water, and how much temperature to be maintained in order to ensure that anaerobic digestion, right? That particular process is known as anaerobic digestion, right? So the bacteria is created, that good bacteria which help to produce the methane. So these are the different parameters can be given input to for ML model. If you have data and then train the model, you can develop your own mathematical, analytical model, and you train them using data, available data, and you will get a predicted value of methane, etc. So this is very good, tool to predict the performance level of the more challenging units like bioenergy, etc. So because controlling bioenergy plant is really a big task. You can be able to control wind turbine unit or many other systems like solar and all, because they are almost matured technologies. But bioenergy still, poses challenge in terms of controllability. So the AI model is really a wonderful tool to have better controllability on this particular production of AI ML model. Of course, as we discussed earlier, that AI plays a big role in smart grid, right? So it's a beautiful thing. There is a communication network. That communication network is established between the customers or the consumer of the electricity and that product producing unit or whatever, right? Where the plant is existing, right? Where you produce the power. So there is always communication channel. So how much demand by the consumer can be transmitted or can be given feedback, can be fed back to the producer. So that way you can just to understand the input requirement of that particular demand. So accordingly, you can be able to produce the current, or accordingly, you can be able to arrange the resources. If the energy system is not able to produce enough energy to meet the demand, that way you can plan to have a storage system, of course, right? So, and then you release the energy based on the demand. So how it is happening based on the smart energy grid. So you need to have a very good communication network, but so in order to address these particular uses. Now the grids are becoming smart grids. Of course, so there are so many AI techniques being evolved, right? So to address, so every techniques have their own merits and demerits. So you will find numerous papers on the application of AI in the ML model in addressing the optimization of energy system, particularly renewable energy systems. So this is a very hot research area where you can all work on if you are interested, right? So there are so many areas where the potential of renewable energy sources can be explored by way of applying modern AI techniques and research. Okay, so I just put this slide to show you what are the different techniques, and you can also compare the performance, right? So different techniques. So comparing the techniques at different level will definitely need a big lecture. So I'm not going to discuss the performance level of each technique, but I just restrict that by putting a simple slide, right, on this particular AI application forum. So yeah, so still there are challenges, right? So in order to employ your AI and ML model, in order to predict the energy produced or a demand or if you want to integrate your grid, or if you want to make your grid smart. So what is the basic necessity, or what is the basic requirement you have to have here? Mainly the data. If you want to develop ML model, you need to have real-time data. So you train your model using real-time data, and then of course you can just predict the output parameter. So availability or obtaining the real-time data is really a big challenge. And key variable in selection of parameter turning in or in. That is another important, because the parameters vary from energy system to system, but the selection of variables, again, optimal variables in order to predict the optimal output of the system is a really challenge. It's a big challenge. And modeling of various faults simultaneously. That is because in case of complex systems like a wind turbine unit and all, there are always possibilities that the faults may occur simultaneously. For example, a motor, the generator is rotating for a long time. It may make some vibration or some noise, or some noise may be produced simultaneously in by motor gear mechanism, all right, or some hissing sound coming from the bearing, etc. So simultaneously there may be multiple failures of components, and modeling of various faults simultaneously together is really a big challenge. Yeah. And stability and generalization of in predictive modeling. It's again, so you have to develop a predictive model to the specific to the energy system. So it is difficult to again generalize, or if you want to develop a general framework, again, this is a big challenge, right? So again, always you have to have customized, predictive model for each energy systems. And the security is again the big problem, right? So you need to have a robust cyber security system against the breach of data, etc. And performance and explainability issues, that is there always. So that's why the efficiency of wind turbine still to be improved, or because there are lots of transmission losses happening from the energy production to the energy consumption. So there is a transmission, right? There is always a loss. So so ultimately the final efficiency is not so expected, not so high as expected, right? So there is a performance level. And of course the solar as system is concerned, still the battery cells produce not more than 25% of the efficiency. So that is a big challenge. That's why the institutions, universities and the industries are working hard to enhance the efficiency of the solar cells by developing new material. This is a big challenge actually. So these are the challenges. So when you have the challenges and using AI model for such challenging technologies is really another big challenge. So the grid integration and energy storage, of course. So these are the challenges already we addressed earlier. So there are some pertinent issues still remain, which are really to be addressed as far as the application of the AI and ML model exclusively for addressing the optimization issue of energy systems, so renewable energy systems. So I think with this brief lecture, I finish my lecture. So I think we can have some question answer session. If you have something in your mind, you can come up with questions. I'm happy to just discuss. Yeah.
Thank
Right.
you so much, sir. Thank you so much for this really enriching and wonderful session.
Yes, thank you so
And
much.
yes, sir, for now, we'll have a quick question answer session. Kindly, all the participants, mute your mics. All the participants are requested to mute your mics. And if you are having any questions, kindly put in the chat box, or else you can unmute. Miss Lavani Nandi, please mute your mic. Miss Lavani Nandi, you are requested to mute your mic.
যে এই কালারটা মনে হয় বলো।
Mr.
হ্যাঁ
Lavini Nandi.
এটা
Yes, thank you. So from the participants, if you're having any question or any doubts, Sari is here. You can ask in chat box or else you can unmute and ask your question directly. From the participants, you are having any question, please write in the chat box or you can ask to Sir directly by unmuting yourself. We are now having question answer session. So from the participants, if you are having any question, kindly ask in the chat box or you can ask directly.
It seems that the long lecture has exhausted the people, the members. It looks like.
No, no, sir, there is a question. It took some time actually to get started. Um, from C Viswas, he asked that at what area we can make AI or ML applicable in renewable energy system.
I think that has been discussed a lot, right? So,
Yes, yes, sir.
of course, if you want to predict the energy, what is the main challenge in renewable energy sources? If you are able to address the challenges, for example, you take the case of wind turbine, you take the case of solar. What are still the government is behind this? This mission, right? We have a department, we have a ministry of renewable energy sources. So we have a lot of money putting in to develop renewable energy sources. But what is the crux of the challenge is that the renewable energy is highly variable. Variable mean when the demand is very high, for example, the electricity is consumed by a particular city is this much, maybe 100 kilowatt. You have the power plant of maybe 100 kilowatt or more than that, but there is always fluctuation in the production, right? So that's what there is mismatch between the supply and demand. Supply, the power produced by the energy system, and the demand, how much demand or how much the city requires, right? So in order to fulfill that energy demand or electricity demand, right? So there is always mismatch. So this particular areas where you have the A big role, right? So the A and ML model can predict that demand, how much demand, or accordingly how much energy to be produced. That the AI model can tell you that okay, for this demand, you please produce this much energy for next five days or 1 week or 1 month or etc. So it give you it all. So in advance, if it is able to give you the amount to be produced, the energy to be produced, accordingly you can make your resources proper. So there the A and ML model has a big role, right, to play. So prediction models, and as I mentioned earlier, the maintenance, right? When the machine will be under maintenance, nobody knows, right, where our health will weaken, when I will get fever, nobody knows, right? But if we continuously monitor our health, for example, now the monitoring systems have evolved, medical system and all. So you can have your even glucose, right? Blood sugar can be monitored continuously. You have some meter, you have some apparatus can be fixed up, and it can continuously monitor the sugar level. So when it peaks up, when you get high sugar level in your body, then before that you can take a corrective action. So the same way for machine. So if you are able to predict the parameters, different parameters, operational parameters, say for example, the maintenance of a wind turbine is a huge task, right? So just you try to monitor the AI model. There are a lot of sensors in wind turbine unit, right? Some sensor temperature measures temperature. Some sensors measure the temperature of the lubricating oil, and some sensor measure vibration, right? Definitely there is a chance for vibration, noise. So different parameters, and you make a composite, unit, and definitely that composite score will help you to predict when the graph goes up, the composite score will go up, right? All the, you know, the magnitude of all these parameters will go up, right? If you sum all the values. So that is composite value. So when it goes up, when that particular composite score goes up, of course, there is a danger. Then you are given alarm, and definitely you can be easily able to take a predictive or preventive maintenance on that particular machine, right? So these are the areas where the A and ML models are widely used. So these are, and also as I told you that various design parameters can be optimized. If you want to design a wind turbine blade, right? So you can optimize. There are various input parameters. You can all optimize the wind turbine, profile, wind turbine blade length, right, and speed, and then material, right? What material and what composition that particular blade should be manufactured. So these are the parameters can be monitored with the help of it. So it's a huge potential, and it is being explored. Of course, if you just to get into the research, the application of A and ML model, and definitely you will find interesting. And I think I feel that if every engineer should apply this A and ML model in their research work. That is what I expect, right? So I think I have told more than enough. I think you can understand with this simple, statement. That's it.
Yes, sir. Yes, thank you so much, sir. So we have a few questions next from Mr. Rahul Das. Is AI is itself very energy hungry and not eco-friendly. In this scenario, making it renewable will really save the nature, or is it truly feasible completely?
You see, if you talk about the feasibility of application of AI, of course, if you want to employ your ML or AI or ML model, what you need actually, you need to have a good amount of data actually. So the outcome, if you talk about the feasibility, you need to have a algorithm. Of course, it incurs some capital cost, of course. And if you talk about the accuracy of the model, all depends on the data availability. So if we have the data, definitely it is feasible, and of course the prediction model can be even better than even analytical model which you develop. Normally what we do actually, instead of AI model, before the AI and ML model came in, how we did research actually. So we develop our own mathematical model, right, by considering various parameters, and we develop our own simulation model. So we use our simulation model or analytical mathematical model in order to predict. Of course, they are having their own, merits and demerits. But when the AI comes in, of course, of the value of analytical model, I cannot say that, but still there is a challenge to develop a analytical model, because AI models are taking over. So that is a potential. That's what we see. Like, ChatGPT, just you put the, if you want to predict the energy demand of so and so energy system or wind turbine system, you just input all the parameters, right? Okay, this much kilowatt energy is needed, and this is the capacity of the solar panel, and and this is the irradiance amount. So you just input all the parameters, and I'm sure that the ChatGPT will give you the answer. But again, the ChatGPT will give you the answer based on the data, how much it has in its server, right? So you see the beauty of this ChatGPT. It is really feasible. That's what we experience. And people really use this ChatGPT or the many AI tool for predicting various parameters or the output of the system nowadays. But they don't rely on that, because always there is a possibility of inaccuracy in prediction, because it all depends on the model, which model that particular chat is using, or the model or the AI model tool is using, or how much data has got already. So when you just to feed your requirement to calculate or to estimate the power output of the system which you want, right, you have to enter some data, right? So that chat has, it takes your data and train its model. So every users are the data source. You understand what I want to say? So of course, this is going to be the technology. A and ML technologies are going to be very feasible, and as I told you that it is making a general framework is a big challenge, but still you can specifically customize or develop your own AI/ML model for your specific energy systems. That is always possible. So, of course, it is done. Yes.
Thank you so much, sir. And our next question is, we have always seen in the generic picture huge horizontal wind turbine having 3 blades. So what is the technology behind that?
Horizontal. Okay, so that is what you talk about, that existing wind turbine unit, right?
Yes, sir. Yes.
That is the basic version of the wind turbine unit, right? So because the blade, initially the technology developed with the blade facing the wind direction, right? And when the wind hits on the blade, right, so the blade has to rotate in one direction. So the profile of the blade is set maybe 20 to 30 degree inclined in such a way that when the wind hits and wind hits the blade surface, the wind turbine starts rotating, right, in one direction. And of course, the wind will slide over the profile of the blade. Of course, this is very basic, science of. So what the blade has to convert the wind energy into kinetic energy, of course, because the blade rotates, and then in turn the kinetic energy is converted into electric energy. So there are 2 stages of conversion. Of course, this is a basic model. The development of wind turbine started from this basic horizontal 3 blade unit, right? So that is what the technology has evolved. But now it has taken the market, and the efficiency is around 60% of this horizontally mounted and with 3 blade, right? So around 50 to 60% of the efficiency has been obtained. Of course, in order to increase the efficiency, there are R&D activities taking place to increase the efficiency. But as far as the modern wind turbine or the wind energy system, which is extensively used in the present scenario, is the horizontal wind turbine unit. So if you just have the rotor, the blades are having a common rotor. The common rotor has got the mounting of the blades on, and the rotor is connected to the gear. So the gear will step down, or the torque or whatever. So there is a transmission, right? The torque conversion is taking place in the gearbox. And once the torque is converted, that the whole power, right, is transmitted to the generator, and the generator produces the current as and when, and then supplies. So that is a basic mechanism of this particular horizontal wind turbine unit, which is widely used in current energy production system. So I don't know whether the wind turbine system has taken the market in that particular northeast region, but very less, I think so. But if you just come down South India, particularly Tamil Nadu or Karnataka and Maharashtra also, so you will find n number of wind turbine power units installed. If you just travel in highway, you'll find big wind turbine units, all horizontally mounted 3 blades unit, right? So that is the beauty of this. It is widely used wind turbine technology in India. Even what companies have put up this wind turbine units worldwide. In India, there are a lot of companies have put, even as a single, as individual, like for example, even I can own my own wind turbine unit, right? So you can have your own land. If you have land, you can set up your own wind turbine unit, and you can generate the current. And you can generate the current, you can sell the current to the government, and also you can consume. So that is the beauty of harvesting wind turbine unit in South India particularly. So I think that is there. That is very well established technology. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It was a really enriching one. And we're going to the next one from Ms. Asmita Guhar Choudhury. What are the input parameters considered for ANN modeling in wind energy forecasting?
So I think I shown the slide. wind energy forecasting, of course, you need to have a, what are the basic parameters you require actually? The speed, you need to have speed, right? How much speed and what is the timing, right? The wind speed variable, right? That's why these energies are variable in nature, right? The output is varying because of the wind speed varies. Maybe during daytime, the wind speed is less. During night time, maybe after 10 o'clock, there will be high wind velocity. So the wind speed is one of the important parameter, let's say. And of course, the other parameters are like, the size, right? The size of the blade, you can say, but that is a fixed parameter, of course, once you are designed, and size of the profile, etc. So, and I have that is, yeah, so I put here the wind direction, right? And the air humidity also, because why we have to consider the air humidity, because it will create some additional drag. Drag means resistance on the wind turbine unit, because when the wind hits on the blade, it has to rotate seamlessly, mean without any restriction, right? So if the humidity is high or low, that will definitely affect the wind velocity, and of course the output will be definitely different. So these are the parameters, and also air temperature, right? So air temperature, again, it affects the humidity and indirectly or directly affect the output of that. So these are the important parameters like wind speed, wind direction, air humidity, and air temperature. So with the help with these input parameters, you can be able to predict the wind energy.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And for our next question from Mr. Joy, are there any innovative way to implement AI in renewable energy sector efficiently? Will it be truly efficient? Are we powering AI with coal or other type of energy? And again, that is used in renewable energy generation. Is it inefficient?
Fantastic. Very good question. Because, we are in the era of switching over to renewable energy. So we have already, coal based, which is not sustainable, which is not renewable. We have, fossil fuel based energy systems. They are not sustainable. But in order to produce or in order to use this AI technology, if we use the existing conventional energy system, is really not sustainable. Really not sustainable. Because when you talk about the life cycle, every energy system has to undergo the life cycle study. Right? What does it mean? You need to check how much emission is coming out of the system. How much emission is caused by the system, caused by that particular energy system when it was produced earlier. So during production side, during production time, when it was designed, during design stage, when it was used, like during operation side, right? When it was disposed, when the life is over, maybe after 20 years or 25 years, that particular system has to be disposed of. Of course, automotive vehicle, you are disposing it off after 20 or 25 years or whatever, right? So you are accepting. So the recycling, whether the recycling material will affect the sustainability of the system, it will damage, of course. So using AI technology, if you are using the conventional energy systems, are really not sustainable or not feasible. But in order to use the AI technology, definitely we have to use the existing technology, existing energy only, right? So that is a challenge actually. That's why, for example, I give you one good example. Recently, we had a project in collaboration with some foreign university. We wanted to address the challenges in hydrogen production. Now we are moving towards hydrogen also, right? Hydrogen units are coming up. Hydrogen bus is being developed, or cars is being developed, engines are being developed. Now I have seen that hydrogen filling stations are being set up. Yeah, I wonder that last week I saw that hydrogen filling station nearby my home in Kerala. Right, so it is installed in North India somewhere very recently. So hydrogen filling stations are coming up. It means what? We are going to run hydrogen fuel cell buses. Hydrogen is now coming up, right? So but hydrogen is produced using non-renewable energy sources. How the hydrogen is produced? With the help of coal energy, with the help of fossil fuel energy, that is not sustainable. So whatever the hydrogen filling or hydrogen energy system we have in present scenario, in current situation, is not sustainable at all. So we are forced to move from conventional to, of course, the sustainable energy. How we are going to produce hydrogen? So ultimately, we have to think of producing hydrogen with the help of renewable energy sources. Either you use wind energy, or you go for solar, or you use bioenergy for producing hydrogen. So the complete system becomes sustainable. So in this system, if you employ that AI, of course, it is feasible and it is going to be sustainable. So that's what we are in the journey of exploring all these possibilities. It opens new avenues for a lot of potential in research. So that's what. So it is going to be a future for tomorrow. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. It was really informative, and I think it will enrich our participants as well. So there is a last question, sir,
Yeah.
from Snehasis Panda. How to fix beds limit fixation, sir?
Can you repeat? Can you repeat the question?
How to fix bits limit fixation?
The bits limit of what, that algorithm you're talking about? I'm not getting the question actually.
Yeah, so Mr. Snehasis Panda, if you
Sir,
please
about the
clarify.
wind, sir, wind.
Please kindly repeat
Sir,
your
base limit
question.
of the wind pressure, sir.
Bits limit of the wind turbine.
Okay. So
Sir.
blade limit, actually, you see, blade limit mean, you
Yes,
see,
sir.
okay, I understand. Very good question. You see, I have seen a wind turbine in some other country in Europe when I was traveling. It can even go up to 50 meter of that diameter. It can go up 50-meter diameter. All depends on the constraints. Actually, this is a design constraint. You can go up to n number, but there is a space constraint. There is a constraint. You have to ensure that it should not affect the sustainable life of the biological species. And also you have to see the output, because you increase the weight, what will happen? You increase the blade length, what will happen actually? Because ultimately it will affect the output, right? So according to the output requirement, you just simply fix the blade limit. So this is simply a design consideration. It's simply a design constraint, right? So you can choose to have a bigger blade or smaller blade or whatever based on your energy output. That is very simple, things. Yeah. So there is no any algorithm or whatever to fix that blade limit. So increase the blade limit according to our energy requirement. So I would say that instead of increase the blade limit, you always optimize the limit, optimize the blade length according to the demand, energy demand, etc. So that's it. I think there is nothing to have a big. All depends on the equation which is used for designing the blade. It will have design constraint. Yeah. That's all depends on the output. Exactly.
Okay.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for answering all these questions with so much care, and it was really nice, sir.
Thank you so much
Um,
for your appreciating words.
yes, thank you so much, sir. It was really informative, enriching one, and it was a wonderful presentation, sir.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sabasachi. I am
Thank
also
you,
happy.
sir.
Was happy to have my audience from region, and thanks for the uh, giving opportunity, right, to present. This is a very small lecture, but there are so many things to discuss in this, right? So I wish that the faculties should, at least to publish at least one paper in the AI and ML application. So that will definitely enrich their, research credential. Yeah, thank you so much.
Surely, sir. Surely, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, this concludes today's day 5 of our FDP. Thank you to all the speakers and all the participants for your active participation. And tomorrow will be the concluding day with sessions on hydropower, green hydrogen, and solar energy. So, goodbye and very good night to everyone. See you tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.